All right, here we go. So last time when we left off, you guys had just wrapped up your Commoners run, and it ended quite differently than I expected. I think it ended quite differently than you expected. That has caused me a bit of work this next week, but it should be fine. It's one of those things where, sure, all my adventures will play out the same as far as monsters and layout and things like that, but the context of everything I was planning has really changed. You guys were supposed to end down, but not out, and you definitely ended out. So we'll move on from there. But moving forward, what has happened is you guys were basically all sold off to the Iron Fist clan, who snatched you up before the Red Rocks could claim you and shipped you off to different parts of the world. Just so nobody's unaware of what happened, along the way, while you were being led out of the area by Khalid Iron Fist, who has been a good friend of yours during this period, you were intercepted first by Brother Licinimus, who had a conversation with Khalid and then took Mavami from you. As Mavami was leaving, you did watch the slave mark tattoo on his neck disappear. And you guys have come to know this. You've kind of already sort of known this, but as players, you should probably know that the tattoo is given out by the government to signify a status, typically of a criminal status or a slave status. They are magical and can be dealt with in certain ways. So you watch the tattoo fade. The next thing that happened was on your way to Krenshad, the capital, where you were going to hop a boat and head to the southern Kren Empire. Some Icarians, who are the judicial police, intercepted your group and claimed Warrigrummy as a full-on criminal wanted and needing of being tried for murder. And that was the last Othig and Thanak saw of her. You two were sailed across the sea and sent your separate ways. Thanak to the jungles in the south and Othig to the deserts in the west. And that's where the midweek stuff stopped. And that's going to bring us to today. Does anybody have any questions moving forward about that stuff?
Othig and I were together up until they split us, up until the very end, right?
Correct. You guys, I'm going to pop open
you went south and I went more west.
I'm going to pop open the world map here for you guys to get a look at.
But everybody else, we split up close to the beginning, right?
As far as you know, Mav and Grummy never made it out of the northern Kren Empire. Okay. Yep.
And as far as I know, you're all dead.
It's pretty kind of, except for Othik and Thanak, as far as anybody's considered right now, everybody else could be dead. Like, and missing and in a lot of trouble. However, you all would have caught news of certain things over time, and Khalid would have communicated with some of you as best he could to keep up on happenings with the stuff. And that stuff I posted in our Discord. So you were somewhat aware that the others are alive at this point. You're not quite sure what's going on with any of them as he doesn't get into details, but you are pretty confident everybody made it out alive.
Where are we on this map?
Oh, let me show you. You're in different places. I'll get to that in just a minute, actually.
Okay.
All right. So I'll draw an arrow. You know that Othig and Thanak are somewhere on this branch of the continent.
Oh, I don't know why I was thinking that North and South Kren were connected.
No, they are not. They are separated by the inner sea.
Oh, okay.
And the others are, as far as you know, on that side of the continent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the thing I've been most interested in is how, in the beginning here, you're gonna bring us all back together or not. That's like the thing I'm most curious about.
It'll be good. I mean, it would be great if I could run you all through separate adventures and bring you back that way. This will be good, though. I think it'll be very good. So, as a year passes, we'll get to see what's happening. Any other questions?
The only other question I would have had, I had asked earlier if there were any limitations to what we were coming back with, or if we were just taking our starting equipment.
It is now just your starting equipment.
Thank you.
If you can make a reasonable case that you'd have something interesting, and your character, actually all of your characters could probably make a reasonable case for something interesting, that would be fine. But for the most part, it is starter level gear equipment.
The only thing I would have made an argument for would have been studded leather, but that's only because she's a leather worker and would have upgraded her own armor.
Then I think that's acceptable. So
Okay.
yeah, and it's not a huge cost difference either. So, and
Oh,
with,
I didn't even. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, with what you are personally doing, it makes definite sense. So
I didn't even think about cost of it, but the tinkering and the blacksmith tools.
you'd be able to pick those
Okay.
up. That's not.
Okay.
Don't worry. Your crafting tools would have been provided to you or given back to you or something. You'd have those. All right. So let's begin then. The scene that we open with is as follows. Vines creep and crawl around the area, grasping at your feet. Green motes of light float on the air, and the scent of growing plant is so heavy it's almost nauseating. A large seed pod, easily large enough to contain a cow, pulses with strange energy and leaks a sticky green fluid from the sides. A seam forms in the side, and light bursts out from it, and then it spills a goo-covered corpse out into the swamp area. No, not a corpse. The body twitches and spasms and stands upright, reaching out towards you. We're going to begin the actual play part of the adventure, bouncing between characters in the scenes that explain their last year. So we first see Wera Grummy. She is dressed in prison clothes, her feet chained together. She's wielding a large pick, and she's in what looks to be a white powdery quarry, and she's breaking large rocks into smaller rocks. You would recognize these as the salt mines north of the Maker's Palm, in a very dry and desolate area that is unfit for most living things. I've put Grummy's token on the map so you can see about where that's at. She's standing next to a huge human woman. Well, this woman isn't technically considered human. She's dwarfkin, which is an extraordinarily rare crossbreed of dwarf and human, which one would assume would create a smaller being. But instead, they grow quite large. And it is a woman who is maybe 6'4" and built like a dwarf. Her name is Chella.
Her name's totally Chella.
That's terrifying.
Chella Euros. She looks at Grummy, and the two are working the same pile of salt boulders. And she says, I want you to assess the others you see here. Tell me what you see when you look around. Grummy, how do you want to assess the crowd? There are other prisoners here. There are guards here.
I would. Do I assume the way that she said this, it's not an instantaneous, or would it be something that I would have time to, observe them?
She just posed you the question. You know, and for your own background's sake, and for moving forward from this point, you know that Chella was a very successful bounty hunter for a lot of years. She was one of the Empire's best, and then she crossed a few lines in the wrong people and ended up here.
Okay. I would first look to see who's looking at us,
Okay.
to assess out who is the most observant. I would then make sure to position myself in such a way that those individuals wouldn't notice that I'm attempting to look at the others, and then I would assess to find out who the strongest and weakest around me are, whether that be dexterity, strength, or cunning.
Okay. So that sounds like you're going to need to make a perception check to see who's watching you, a stealth check or a deception check, whichever you would prefer, to pretend like you're not watching them, and then an insight check to see what you pick up.
Same old.
Okay.
Perception wasn't great.
Nope.
And then stealth
Yeah.
That'll
That
do.
looks does that better
Natural
than me.
20 on the stealth.
That'll definitely do.
And then you said an insight check
Yep.
to figure.
I mean,
So I'm not very good with the whole
here for
people
it.
thing, but I'm really stealthy.
Okay, so you're looking around and you pick up on the fact, there's obvious facts that you grab right away. The guards are somewhat paying attention to you, but that's all you really spend the time to do. You're more concerned with focusing on making sure nobody sees that you're watching them. And that's what cuts your ability short, is you're more focused on that, and nobody ever even notices you at all. They don't notice you glance up, they don't notice you stop working. And Chella picks up on all this. And she says, look, what you did, you took too long to do it. When you observe people, act natural. Do something you'd normally be doing. Even stare right at them. And when they look at you, look away. That's what people do. And so she gives you a few pointers on assessing the situation. And the scene fades away. Othig. We see Othig knocked down by another dwarf who's wielding a spear. He's dressed in black ringmail armor and has a large scorpion claw emblazoned on his chest piece. Bulgrin yells at Othig. He says, Othig, your focus has to be as sharp as your spear, or you're gonna end up dead. Now, get up again. Come at me, boy. And he baits you to make some attack rolls. So please make 3 attack rolls against Bulgrin.
Awesome. I will do so.
Nice.
Way
You guys
to go, buddy.
are pretty hot with the nat 20s. So, we have a nat 20, a 14, and then a dirty 20. So, you get up and you take Bulgrin's advice, and you take your battle stance, and you got your longer spear out, and
There's a dog staring at me.
There's a what?
Oh, sorry, my mic's open. Connor's talking.
Got it. I got really confused. All right, so, and you prepare your attacks, and you feint one way, and Bulgrin shifts the other way, and you swing your spear blade around, and you stop it just in front of his neck, and he smiles at you. Then he pushes you away, and you come at him again, and this next time, it's a bit of a tussle, and he gets the upper hand on you, but you definitely made him work for the block. And the third one, you come around, and he blocks the stab with the spear, and you come around with the backside of the spear and put it right up to his nose, and he just starts laughing. And he's like, this one won't be cleaning latrines this week. Come on, let's get an ale. And you guys head out of the training area, and you go off to get a drink.
Awesome.
Thanik.
Yeah.
The scene pans over to Thanik, who's studying a large tome. It's full of arcane symbols and other things. You see his armor and his blacksmith's hammer set off to the side of his room, and several candles have already burned down quite low. And the door opens up, and an old, long-bearded human man walks into the room. This man's name is Morlin Costas. And Morlin says, Thanak, what have you learned today? So make some skill checks of various kinds, and I will tell you what you might have learned today.
Like, do you want me to just pick random?
Things that you would be studying right now.
Okay. So, like, how many checks do you want me to make?
2, 3, whatever you're comfortable with.
So we'll do. That's not great. We'll do that. Not great. And we'll do. Not great. Holy cow.
Morland walks up to you, and he puts his hand on your shoulder, and he says to you, what you're studying isn't easy, lad. Don't get discouraged. I know these things are important to you. I know your tinkering is important to you, and it will serve you well in the long run. But try focusing on one subject at a time until you've mastered that, and then slide back to something else. Perhaps you're spreading yourself too thin.
Alright, that makes sense.
We pan away to Mav. Mavamy is in the clothes that you last saw him in. So beaten, tattered rags, he still looks a mess. He is sitting on a wagon, riding off east of Elinos, and he rides, to the west, and then down to the southwest of Elinos. And you see it cut through the mountains and follow a pass, and it ends in a monastery. Oh, I didn't put the other guys on the map. Let's get these guys on the map before monastery action happens. So Othig is on the southern continent to the just north of the Hive Spire, and Thanak is just at the north edge of the jungles there. So, and Mav is here. He is led up to a monastery, and the first thing they do is give him a change of clothes. He is given a simple, very coarse-looking white robe, and then he's ushered into an amphitheater of sorts. It's a deep-welled auditorium, maybe even, with dozens of seats around it, and there are multiple people in robes sitting up above him. And a voice calls out, and it says, "Acolyte Mavami, it is believed you possess the gift. Do you submit to the trials?
Yes.
Please make 3 Constitution saving throws as they all begin casting the spell Harm at you. You fail all 3, and you take an obscene amount of damage. As you're hurt, you are healed, and then you are put through it again, and again, and again.
Oh, that's wretched.
Can you repeat that last part?
You're,
About the again and again and again?
yeah, you get hurt in a lot.
Yes.
They cast damaging spells on you, then heal you, and then do it again for hours on end. Grummy. That one's a little better.
Not dead yet.
Not dead yet. Grummy. So, you are sitting on a cot in the prison barracks. You're sitting next to Chella. She is missing a leg at the hip. You remember it got crushed during a collapse, and it was amputated. She sits. Her work now consists of sitting at a table with a small hammer smashing salt into powder. But you guys do still share the same barracks together. And Chella looks over at you and says, "You're leaving tomorrow. Not far from Marasi, just on the other side of the river. I hid some contracts and equipment. I'm not getting out of here anytime soon, and even if I do, being down a leg isn't going to do me any favors in the bounty hunting business. I want you to go get my stuff. And remember, good bounty hunters don't cross the line when doing the job."
Do I know how long she has left?
She has at least 6 years left. And a 6-year sentence in the salt pits is probably a death sentence.
I thought you meant like left to live, and I was like, how do you know that?
No, I meant on her time.
No.
I will ask her if she gets out, if I would be allowed to contact her.
She smiles and she says, "Even with down a leg, I'll find you first." And you both laugh. She says a couple other encouraging things to you, gives you some good directions towards the gear, and you're released the next day, and you head towards Marisi, and please make 3 skill checks to determine whether or not you find Chella's stash of gear.
Okay. Real quick before I do that, the only other thing I would have asked for from her is if she would have been willing to share with me a contact, someone that I'd be able to reach out to on the outside.
Yeah, she will. She will give you a contact, and so you have the name of somebody you could look to for bounties or for information if needed.
Okay. So searching for stuff, do you want survival, perception, or is that up to me?
That's up to you. However you want to find it.
Okay. I will start with insight to see if I trust the information that I got from her.
Okay.
Sneaky, sneaky.
I will then use survival to find the area and perception to specifically find the stuff I'm looking for.
Okay. So, that's a 16, a 12, and a 23. 16, you start to think about all of the lessons she taught you about being a good bounty hunter while you were there, and you begin to realize that this too is a test. And she definitely gave you some sideways information. It's accurate, but only from a certain perspective. You remember a few key things she said that tip you off to that. But that being said, it makes it very difficult to follow her instructions. And so you have a hard time finding what you're looking for, but the minute you get there, you know what you found. It doesn't take you long to find it all at all. And so you open it up, you find 2 bounty contracts and her gear, which is where you can get your studded leather from. So, Othig.
Awesome.
It's been a bit. You've trained well. You're a valuable part of the Black Claws mercenary band right now that is run by the Iron Fists. But you're taking some time down to spend with a couple of people that you've met along the way. Heschel and Hector. And you're working at the forge together, and you're working on making some weapons. And Hector leans over, and he says, "Hey, I know you've been working on something special with the boy here. Let's see it." So, make 3 smithing rolls, and then you're going to have to show Hector what you've been working on.
Smith rolls.
Smith rolls. So it's strength plus proficiency plus your roll.
Okay. Let's see. Strength plus proficiency, so it's going to be +6 to these 3.
Okay.
Then.
Oh.
That's awesome.
So that's a nat 1, a nat 20, and a 15, each +6. So what would you and Heschel be working on together? Piece of armor, a weapon? What would you want to craft for yourself?
It's probably going to be a weapon, except it's probably something. This is for me?
It's something you and Heschel have been working on together. So this might be something for you. It might be something for them. It's up to you.
It's probably one of the special orders that I'm working on to get caught up with stuff. Okay. So we're not making too much money out of it, but it probably involves either something that was a rare material or an uncommon design.
Okay, let's go with uncommon design. So you have been working with Heschel on a special order of differently bladed spears at the tip, and the tip is the head is fantastic. The welding and the rivet work to attach them to the shaft is amazing. The handling is good, but the woodworking you did on the shafts is spotty at best. Hector's being very kind to you and his son when he points out like a crooked spear could never be thrown. He's you can hear him mumbling like phrases like that, things that you would say about woodwork. And the one he picks up, he's like, "Oh, this one almost broke in my hands." He's just, and he looks at you two, and he's like, "I know you've been working hard and doing everything yourself to get ahead, but know when to ask for help." And Thanik.
What did you say the guy's name was?
Which Moreland.
Wait,
So
for me, my guy.
Your guy's name is Moreland. Ryan's guy, the older dwarf, his name was Hector, and the son's name was Heschel.
Okay.
So we cut to Thanak, who is sparring with 2 other well-armed individuals, Jenica and Felrin. Thanak, you remember these are the 2 people who picked you up at the bar and originally hired you as a smith for your group. Okay. And now you're sparring with them. And then Moreland waves his hands, and a flow of magic washes all over the area. And you see Jenica start to glow one color, and Felrin start to glow another color. And Moreland says, "Thanak, Jenica is about to cast haste, and Felrin is going to cast slow. Which do you stop, and why?"
Slow because it affects more people.
Okay, so the battle resumes. Make an insight check and then 2 attacks.
Oh, jeez. Holy cow. There's that. At
There's
least
that.
Nat 20 for one.
Proud of you.
So
Jeez.
your insight check isn't all that good. Moreland says, I know you're just guessing, but it wasn't a bad guess. Slow is a very problematic spell for those it is cast upon. However, haste put upon a mighty warrior can be the undoing of an entire army.
We've never experienced that.
Neither of those.
And so, he says though it's good to go with your gut. He says trust your instincts; they'll serve you well. And Jenica laughs because you went to hit her and she blocked it. But Felrin you just walloped him. He put up his shield and you just drove it straight through it into his face. His nose is bleeding and he's like, "Oh, I should have left you in the bar."
Valron's the one who went to cast slow, right? Isn't
Yeah.
he? So
Yep.
I just was having none of him.
Yeah, none of it. You were just like, nope, I'm not gonna get slowed. Good. Yeah. So, we cut back to Mav, who has his headset off.
Has his headphones off at the moment.
Not so well. Was while he's doing that, was Moreland like the leader?
Moreland is he's a high level wizard / scholar who runs your group.
Okay.
Yep. He's the head of the order. So Mav, we cut over to Mav, and he's standing outside 2 big gilded doors. The place that he's at looks a lot nicer. He's in a little bit better clothes, but he looks exhausted. He looks at the end of his rope. There's huge bags under his eyes. He's thinner. He doesn't stand up real straight. But he's talking to several weird individuals for the most part. To Kren, they're very weird individuals anyways. And one of them's a tiefling even. He's talking to an elf and a tiefling. There's a human there. And one that you can't quite figure out what the heck they are. And they look like they're having a pretty jovial conversation. They slap him on the shoulder a few times. And this is when his exhaustion really shows. Is just at a little bump, he almost tips over. And then the doors both open up, and from inside there, you hear, Acolyte Mavami, are you prepared to continue your training?
Yes.
You see Mav turn and go into a dark room, and all around where he's standing, you see glowing hands. Mav, please make 3 Constitution saving throws.
I feel like this is your punishment for all the terrible things you did last campaign.
Oh, awesome.
And the rolls tonight, you guys.
Yeah, not so hot. Maybe you're getting them all out of your system now. Maybe all the bad stuff's getting out of the way.
I'm a wizard with 28 AC. Yeah, you just wait.
Right?
Yeah, good times.
He's at the top shooting down.
So, more of the same tragedy for Mav as he is punished with spells. Although now you see lancing bolts of lightning and spectral hammers and all sorts of things pounding on this poor dwarf. Grummy. We see Grummy
Yes, sir.
waiting in the wilderness and near a traveler's hut, similar to the one where you stayed in before going into the charnel house where you met Madame Carvey. It's a similar hut that you're watching. You're sitting off to the side, not hiding your presence, but you are definitely camouflaged into your surroundings. So if somebody did notice you, you would look like somebody just leaning against a stone, taking a break. But you're pretty hard to spot. And you see the bounty that you're hunting. This criminal is wanted dead or alive, but there's a double reward for alive. What would you like to do?
Would I have had any time to prepare the scene ahead of time?
Yep.
I will have several hunting traps that have been modified to be more like a bola,
Oh, okay.
if possible.
Yeah.
Something with a spring. I would have set them in what I would have anticipated to be the most likely exit points and then I will simply impose myself and attempt to intimidate them into the direction of my traps.
Okay. We'll make a survival check for the setting up of your traps.
Okay.
You can make 2. And we'll call one number 1 and number 2. Okay. So you make a check to set up your traps. And now make an intimidation check as you get in this guy's face and intimidate him into surrendering. He is not intimidated.
I'm still not very sure of myself.
That is a 3. So he takes off running. Tony, even or odd?
Let's go odd, because everything I do is odd.
He runs toward the odd one. Now he's going to make a saving throw against your trap. And he sees it coming. He ducks underneath your trap. Your quarry is now getting away. What would you like to do?
I'm just going to shoot him with my longbow, probably try and take him out at the knee or something.
Okay.
First, and then if that doesn't work, I'm just going to obliterate him with my longbow.
All right, make an attack roll. If you beat his AC by 5, you hit him in the leg. You do not. Oh, you do. His AC is 10. You have a plus 5.
Wonderful.
The roll was a 10, plus 5 is 15. So you managed to hit him in the upper thigh, in the nice meaty area, and he tumbles over into the bush. And we see Grummy walk up to him and said, "They wanted you alive. Doesn't mean in one piece." And you see the pommel of her dagger come down on his face.
And I will make sure to slap my manacles on him as well.
Awesome. Othig. The scene here opens up in a dusty, broken down old hut that off in the corner of it there is a tunnel dug under the ground. And there is a large insectoid-looking humanoid standing there in front of Othig. And the two look like they're about to get into it over something. And you see this creature point to his left, and then point to his right, and then point to his left. And he begins spinning his spear from his left hand to his right hand, and then back again. And then he nods for Othig to make an attack roll on him. Well, to make an attack on him. Not an attack roll.
Wait, not an attack roll?
No, you're making an attack
Okay.
roll. Yeah. Narratively, he wouldn't tell you to make an attack roll. He would tell you to launch an attack.
Nice.
Very nice. Your attack goes right between the spinning of the spears, and it is twisted and deflected, but you still strike true. And Ziz, the Tricrene, starts making like excited zizzing noises and thrumming on his chest.
That's freaking awesome.
And he's really excited that you succeeded. He has just taught you and how to defend against a maneuver that he knows that you're not quite ready yet to learn. But if he's basically taught you how to pierce the defenses of somebody who's using a weapon to parry.
Nice.
Yep. And so you and him have hung out a bit after the incident that he helped you settle on the border with the others of his people, and you've kind of become pals. And so he's taught you a few things. And so someday he tells you to keep practicing, and you'll learn how to use your spear like that. And once you master that spear skill, you'll be able to use your bonus action to use your spear after your attacks as a shield in between your attacks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, but you're not quite ready for that yet. That takes a lot of skill, and
Right on.
And he to communicate to you like that you're not ready yet. He likes to draw pictures of little stick Othigs in the dirt that are small, and then he wipes them out, and then he draws ones that are bigger, and he points to them, and then he wipes them out, and he pats you on the head to let you know that
I was waiting for a head pat. I was hoping you'd say something like that. That's so awesome.
you're not big enough yet to learn that other move.
That's great.
He
You
also
got a head pat from a Tricrene.
He also once in a while draws you with more arms, and then he laughs to himself and goes in his
That's so
his
mean.
burrow. If only you had more arms.
I love it.
Only you had more arms.
If only a dwarf had more arms. Oh my gosh.
So Thanak, you're back in the sparring ring again. This time with Morland, and the old man begins casting a spell, and he's moving very slow, and you can tell he's purposely taking time to do this. And then he tells you, "Thanak, hamper my ability to complete the spell." And so he says he's going to cast a series of spells, and he wants you to try and disrupt them with your attacks.
Okay, so like, do you want me to make a like how does he mean this? Like,
This
do you
is
want me to
this is the
specifically
maneuver we
attack?
talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what athletics.
Yep. He moves his hands away from that first one. And he just lights up your face with a magic missile, like boom, right in the face,
Yes.
magic missile. And you hear him laughing to himself. He's like, "Don't be so nervous. Just do the job. You won't hurt me." And he begins casting another spell.
All right. How about this one?
How's it feel?
And so,
Too funny.
Not bad, huh?
oh, it felt terrible. We lost connection with Adam. He's gone.
Too
Oh,
funny though.
Gone forever.
But he did roll first.
he did roll first, and he rolled really quite well.
You throwing a tantrum over there, Adam?
Jeez. No, I disconnected right when you wanted me to roll that second one, so I rolled it and disconnected.
Well, it rolled through. It's an 18.
Quit.
Yeah.
What you do is you hit his hands with the shaft of your maul. You're intentionally aiming for the hands, and it is a damaging sort of fashion, but not in the way to incapacitate somebody. It's to slow somebody's spell. So roll damage on your hammer.
Oh, from the crit way long.
That's so funny. So, well, it's still max. It's still 2 6s would be the max
Yeah.
damage plus 2. So that's 14 points of damage. So you delay his spell going off by 7 turns
Oof.
Oh.
with that much damage. And he steps back and he shakes his hands a little bit and he laughs. He says, "That one would have made you smell for days." And
He already does that.
and then he begins casting his next spell, and he asks you to do it again.
Hold on.
How intimidating.
Where to go?
Seriously. Like, come at me, bro.
For reals.
So this one, he's casting, and you see fire lighting up in his hands as he goes to cast it, and you swing your maul down at him, and a arcane shield shoots up around him, and he still gets the spell off, and he smokes your beard up all nice and crispy as fire shoots all around you. This spell has a bit of a poor flavor memory for you, as you remember it washing over you not too long ago in your past, and things going poorly. And then he tells you to always be prepared for a caster to use their shield, and be prepared to be creative with getting around that. But he hugs you, tells you you've done a good job overall.
I don't feel like it.
You and me both.
As you're walking out of the room, he says, "We never do at the beginning."
Yeah.
Never do at level 1.
So, the scene cuts back to our buddy Mav, who's had a rough go of it. He is in now pristine white robes. There's some adornment on them. He is dressed in the robes of a cleric of the order, but he is once again in the amphitheater surrounded by a group of individuals. There are several unconscious people lying on the ground around him, and you hear, "Devotee Mavami, you've done all that's been asked of you. Survive this final test, and the gift is yours, and you will take your place among the order. Do you submit?"
Yes.
All right. So
Are you
if
gonna hurt me again?
a flurry of spells come at you, Mav, make a Constitution saving throw.
Gosh.
You suck this one up, but you guys watch as there is a pulse of magical energy that shoots off of Mav. You need to cast a spell. What would you like to do? We lost Adam again.
I'll
He's
cast
trying to get his
guiding
video
bolt.
back.
Actually, I'll cast bless.
Okay.
Cast bless on myself.
Cast Bless on yourself. All right, so the magical energy thrumps out. You see that the explosion coming out of you has wounded the people who are unconscious laying next to you. You make another Constitution saving throw.
Yay.
Oh, very nice.
Celtics!
Very, very nice. So you suck in all this magical energy, and you know that you have to cast out 2 spells and do it quickly. What would you like to pump out?
I will cast a Cure Wounds on whoever's near me.
Okay. You put a solid Cure Wounds into the guy near you, and the next round of spells comes.
So, another Constitution
Yes,
save?
please. Oh, look at this guy. Back-to-back nat 20s. You know what he does? This is
No,
Andy.
It is max, like D4 as well. But
Yeah.
I can't go higher.
Max bless, max roll. Andy is a story luck machine. Like, he bombs all of his original saving throws to make it look like he's going to wash out. And then he gets to the end of his training and masterfully. There is actually a gasp. You take these spells in and disperse their energy so perfectly to those around it, curing some wounds on people, blessing yourself, and just weaving together the power of magic inside of you in a way that no one's ever seen. And there's some whispering among the crowd as to what just happened. And you hear a few odd things that fill you with pride. Like, you hear one of them say, "No one has seen anything like this since Saint Benedict." And a couple other people look at them like really like almost want to say that's blasphemous, but they're really impressed with what went down. And then one person off in the back starts clapping, and you look up and it's a paladin buddy of yours that you've come to know. And then the whole auditorium starts clapping.
These guys obviously never saw Zealous in action.
Very few people did. So, let's see, where are we at? Grummy.
Yeah.
You are dragging a bound and gagged man into a cave. He has a red rock tattoo on his hand. From out of the shadows...
Quarry or a date?
What?
I said, is this a quarry or a date for Rummy?
Why not both?
This is a...
It's Valentine's Day.
From out of the shadows steps an Imperial Icarian. You look nervously at this woman, and she hands you a pouch of coins and a letter. It's payment for your bounty. And she says, "I was told to deliver the letter to you as well." And then she starts dragging the guy out of the cave. What would you like to do?
I've made it my habit to not speak when doing business.
Okay.
So I will just nod. I will take it, and then wait for them to leave. But I will always be the last one to leave a scene.
Okay. Anything else you want to do?
I'll read the letter
All right.
once they leave.
So you open up the letter. Othig, you're working at the forge with Hector and Heschel, and Ziz is standing in the corner, leaning against the wall, and a package arrives for you. One of the squires, the Black Claw squires, runs in with a package. It's marked with a Iron Fist clan seal. Heschel looks at you sadly and says, "I was told earlier today you were about to be reassigned." What would you like to do?
I knew that then as well,
You didn't. This is the
Oh.
first you heard of it.
but he knew.
He knew, and he was waiting.
I think I would ask him when he knew.
This morning.
Did your father tell you?
He did.
Okay, I think I would just nod, and I mean, I understand that he knows more than me at this point, so I guess I'm gonna play catch up and open up this package.
All right. Thanik, you're working in the crafting area of the Guardian stronghold when one of the pages interrupts you. He's new. He's basically you a year ago. He's really nervous, He's kind of shaking a little bit, and he passes you a letter. He says, Moreland told me to get this to you. And he says, and then he says, you'll be needing this as well. And he pulls out a package. It's not really a package. It's one of the Weave Guardian's tomes of training. And it's strapped with a decorative leather band. So you got a letter and you got a book.
All right, I'll take them both and thank you.
All right. Mav, you're in a tavern with some of the adventurous-looking friends that you saw earlier. You're obviously celebrating. They're talking about how stupid you made all those old people look in that room. and then they slide a few things across the table to you that you ask them to recover for you. And
I'll thank them for them and grab them.
Yep. They wish you a happy graduation. The gambler and the bard are giving your paladin friend a very, very hard time at this moment. Something about chastity. And he's trying to tell them it's not that kind of order, but they're not having any of it.
I believe it's a brodom.
Brodom. And so, during this moment, an acolyte from the temple arrives and he has been looking for you, and you've been summoned.
I will. Vamos.
Okay. He leads you back to the temple proper, and as you get there, you see one of your elder trainers standing there with a letter, and he gives it to you.
I'll open it up.
The letters say the following. Graniteback, your dutiful service this past year has officially cleared you of your debt to the Iron Fist clan. However, I have more work that you'll no doubt be very interested in. In full expectation of your acceptance to my offer, I have already cleared your departure with your superiors. Elinos has suffered greatly this past year, and I believe that together we could change that. Continue to do your best to keep a low profile, and I will have a fellow acquaintance of ours meet you in Crenshad. The rooms waiting for you are at the Howling Mariner Inn. It's a tavern right near the waterfront. A rundown trap for rats. I'm sure you'll love it. Wait in your quarters until the acquaintance arrives. They will bring you to my estate a few hours north of Elinos, just west of the Dimatopolis farm. I believe you're familiar with the area. I look forward to the reunion. Khalid Iron Fist.
Do we know about his hardship over the last year?
Yeah, it's pretty common knowledge that the Iron Fists have been put to task by the Red Rocks politically, and that a lot of the Iron Fists, and a lot of people believe Khalid allowed it to happen, have thrown him under the bus to kind of save face with the other clans.
Okay.
You know it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. It's the question.
You had said that they publicly, kind of removed him from leadership?
Correct.
Is that publicly, but internally he's still in charge?
Well, he's one of the clan heads. When a clan gets big enough, it's obviously like your guys' clan. You had household heads who were in charge of certain aspects of work under Orin. When a clan gets big enough, there's a lot of Orins, and then somebody running them, and so on and so forth. So he's kind of upper middle management.
Okay.
Kind of like Andy.
Sure.
Sure.
So,
All three of them that I manage.
Yeah.
are you guys headed for Crenshad?
Was that the
yeah,
same note?
absolutely.
Everybody had the same letter?
Everybody got the same letter.
Okay.
I assume I'll be the first to arrive.
Most likely.
Okay. I'll do some work in the meantime then as well.
Okay.
I think on receiving the news, I'll have to say goodbye to a few people, obviously. But in particular, I want to tell Hashel to continue working hard because I think he's going to make a great smith someday.
All right. Sounds good. He's dwarf sad when you leave. Not showing it, but
Yeah.
like you can hear his teeth grinding a little bit in the background.
I'm sad too.
Yeah. And so you pack your stuff and head off. Andy, the answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
So, anybody else got anything they want to wrap up before they leave their respected areas?
Nothing specific. Just say goodbye to everybody.
When does Ziz tell me to come back?
This, he draws the picture of a sun, and then he draws a line like it's arcing across the sky, and then he just starts going really fast. And then he starts making those noises again, and looks very pleased with himself.
Awesome. Okay. Whatever it is.
And then Mav, I assume you're going as well then?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you want to wrap up on the Isle of Unity before you head out?
I'm going to work on crafting a quarterstaff. That's the other piece.
Okay. Absolutely. So...
Also,
Oh,
do we
pizza.
have to roll an intimidation check or terror check for the zombies?
No, you do not. You'd already seen Undead. So it wasn't something so crazy that you needed to roll that. It was just that first time shock of seeing dead things living.
Well, I mean,
One
here's
zombie had it.
here's the thing. I mean, we saw skeletons,
Yep.
and then we saw a zombie, and it killed us. So
That's fair.
Theoretically, the zombie didn't kill you. I don't even know if I hit you more than once with the zombie. Maybe twice. I crit
I don't
somebody
think so.
with it. No, I
I
crit.
mean,
I crit Andy as he
you
tried to
crit-
get away.
No, you crit me. That was me.
Oh, that was
You
you.
crit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking
I
about
did
hits,
step
like
back when I meant
I think
to.
our group had more. Swings and misses than actual
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah. But it's
Action
significant.
economy. When it fails you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of swing and a miss going on there, that's for sure. So you guys all take your time and make your landfall pretty much independently of one another and head to your rooms at the Howling Mariner. And are you doing as told, or are you waiting?
What were we told again?
To wait in your rooms until the acquaintance showed up.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
so
wait.
are we told? Are we doing what we are told, or are we waiting? Is that what you said?
I might have said that. What I meant to say is, are you doing what you're told, or are you being you?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, Grummy is understood. The others are coming. Like she knows her cousins are coming.
Yes. Yep.
She also knows she's the closest, so she would kind of drag her feet a little bit and get some work done along the way.
Okay.
How did you find that out?
Bring some gold.
Andy just drinking out
Andy,
his
what are you
soup.
drinking?
It's ramen or something.
Okay.
It's totally soup. And
Mrs.
I
Grasses, I know.
so approve of this method right now. I
thought
can't
it
even
was-
tell you.
I thought it was like an egg yolk or something, and I was like,
Oh.
an egg yolk out of an oversized measuring cup.
Yuck.
It is totally one of those oversized, like for like a mixer.
Seriously,
It's
mega yuck.
a 2-liter mixing bowl.
Yeah. Right.
Nice.
What
Very
the-
nice.
This is common. This is normal.
Andy's trying to bulk up and get some protein.
It's,
Massive amounts of eggs.
yeah.
So my question is, are you going to wait, or are you gonna do something else?
Mad
Once
boy.
once I feel like it's closer to the time, I would arrive. But I
Okay.
wouldn't want to be sitting there for 2 weeks by myself.
I would just go to my room, but I want to know how Roomy knows that we're all coming.
Well, you're just gonna have to be patient and wait in your room.
Fine.
Thanik.
I mean, if the assumption is that remind me what the letter said. The letter didn't say that we were going to meet each other. The letter just said
The letter said you would meet your an acquaintance.
an acquaintance. So, is this like a typical inn?
Oh yeah, it's a very typical harbor inn. Lots of people
Yeah.
coming in and out of it all the time.
I mean, I guess I'd probably hang out in the food area,
Okay.
whatever. Get some food, hang out there
The
for a
bar?
little bit. The
The
inn
common area.
part, yeah, like
Yeah.
where people eat and you order food, and I mean it's a bar, yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
Thanak,
hang out-
you can hang out there. That's fine. The others
Yeah.
hang out in their room. Their meals are brought to them. You don't wait long at all. Couple of days, and Thanak, you're in the tavern and you see Grummy walk in. Grummy, you have been sent by Khalid to collect your cousins. You are the acquaintance that they know.
I will collect them.
So Thanak, you're the first one to see Grummy come in.
I'll go give Grummy a big bear hug.
Grummy's a bit rougher looking.
Yep.
She's definitely stronger looking from working in the salt mines.
Good.
Maybe more weathered is a better way to say it.
Yeah.
Her hair is matted and dreadlocky and dirtier than it was. She doesn't. She looks well, but she doesn't look like she's taking care of herself like a typical woman does anymore.
I'll just say in the this is gonna come out super offensive, but it's not meant to be offensive. But slavery looks good on you.
Does Thanak look different? Is there anything different about Thanak?
Other than what I'm wearing, probably not much.
You've been doing a lot of research. Have you gained any weight?
I'm in muscle.
I'm just gonna pat you on the stomach and be like, "And freedom looks good on you."
No, I have absolutely not been free. Like I
People
haven't
who do
just.
research just gain
I
weight.
haven't been just sitting around on despite what the story has been.
Good.
Showing,
This
I
is the
haven't
response I wanted. This is all I needed.
Yeah, no. There's been. Yes, no. As far as like physicality goes, I
Yeah.
don't look much different.
Good. So you don't look thinner either. So I'll just leave it where it is.
That's
Alright.
fine. Thanak, you do notice that you are tattoo free. You have been for a while. Grummy is not. Grummy has a mark of the redeemed on her, which is something that criminals wear once they've served their time and re-entered society.
She would also have several other tattoos, primarily in the stylization of Anubis, but those are not magical. Those are all just to make everything kind of blend together.
Those are prison tats.
Yep.
You got any teardrops?
I refuse to answer that.
Nice. Very nice. So,
No, but honestly, Thanak is very, very happy to see you.
And then I will acquire the other two.
all right. So you other two, you hear knocking on your doors. Othig, you open one up and see Thanak. Mav, you open one up and see Grummy. And they're standing there, smiling stupidly.
Okay, so you said Thanak came to my door?
Yeah.
So, I probably would have done that thing where it's like, you're about to scream, but then I'm going to remember that, we're supposed to be quiet about,
Yeah.
like, who we are and, like, what's happened to us in the past and that sort of thing. And so I'd probably just grab him and, like, bring him into the room and shut the door real quick, thinking that, like, no one's supposed to know that we're here.
Yeah.
And I'd be super excited to see him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I will just let Mav know that our benefactor has requested our presidents.
Our president?
I stuttered a little there, didn't I? Present.
Very well.
And Grummy does look a little more paranoid than normal, but not anything outside the ordinary. Just very observant of surroundings, very alert, as it were.
Shoot, that's going to the wrong person.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you meant to link that in group chat, not me.
I did.
Awesome. So, you are all, for the most part, filled
Yeah, that.
filled in on what's going on. Because Thanak was given the rundown by Grummy and whatnot, he passes that along to Othig. And you guys have been requested to head for the Iron Fist estate. Is there anything you'd like to do before you leave?
How long does it take to get there?
It's a 2-day trip.
Perfect.
Right. How much money have I made? Because I don't have any money in my treasury here.
Correct. You and I were. I believe you said you wanted your resources turned over to fixing the problem with the clan. Correct.
Yep.
All right.
And making sure that these guys didn't have debt.
Yep. Okay. Then you would have just normal spending cash on you. So let's say 5 gold.
Thank you.
Which is more than enough for a traveler to take a few days across the places.
Yep.
So, I have a request of something to do on our 2-day trip.
Sure.
While we're walking.
Before you do that, though, I want you all to make perception checks. Everybody but Mav.
Jeez.
Yeah, -1, baby.
Oh my gosh.
My brother.
Well, you guys barely notice it, but you notice Philibert's spearhead is part of my amulet, my holy symbol, that is adorned on the chest.
Nice.
No kidding?
Am I your deity?
No.
Because I have some things to say.
Presumptuous, don't you think?
It would be
Yeah.
Moradin who is the deity. The spearhead just happens to be part of the amulet.
Okay, so how did you get it?
Favors.
Huh?
Favors.
Some things never change no matter who
What about
Andy's playing. I have a secret. It's not a big secret, but I'm going to hold it tight.
You know... Yeah, stop playing like Andy and play like your character. Unless your character is exactly like you.
It's easy to play a character that's exactly like you.
Yeah.
Mav would explain that he had met some friends while out and about, and one of them he called a favor, and the other 2 he owes a favor.
Okay, what about the shaft?
You may notice that it's currently a quarterstaff.
So you have both pieces?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Oh, I love you guys too.
Alright.
I mean, whoo.
Alright, so... I had something I wanted to do.
All right, do it. That's what this time is for.
Well, while we're walking along, I'd want to work my way over to Groomy and basically ask. How did I want to word that? I know it's been a while. How have you come along with dealing with the consequences of what's happened and your anger?
While he's talking, can I slip my manacles on him without him noticing?
You may certainly try.
No, you can't do that because as soon as you're going to answer or respond or do anything, I'm going to attack you.
Sleight of hand, bro. Make a perception check. Because that's how I've been dealing with it.
That's a pretty good sleight of hand.
You can go ahead and make your attack. I'm guessing it'll be a disadvantage.
Yep. You start talking to Grummy and you're being a little sensitive about the situation, and she goes to answer and you lift up your hand, you go to get your weapon and you realize there's already handcuffs on your hands, and you look at her and she's smiling. So you may now make your attack at disadvantage.
No, I think that gives me my answer then. I'm not going to attack then.
Okay. There it is.
And I would just say this is how I've been handling myself. I have found better outlets for now.
I'm just going to tell you that it's really good to see you again, and I'm glad we're all together.
I'll hand you a key.
I was just
thank you.
I was just gonna ask if you let him out, or if you just kept walking.
I'll just flick you a key.
Anybody else got any character things they'd like to work out as you guys travel along, or are you just shooting the breeze?
That was
Just
awesome,
shooting
Ryan. Thank you for that.
I just have a real brief question about this. Are
Yeah.
we, and Grammy might be the one to ask on this, I don't know, but are we still meant to be low profile?
Yes. Yep. So you
Yeah,
would
we're
all
not
be.
supposed to talk about the thing with Elinos.
Yep.
Like,
You would also. You'd be wearing pretty, like standard travelers' cloaks, hoods up, that type of thing. Not making a scene out of anything, but you. None of you are criminals anymore, or wanted, or slaves. It's just your presence is sooner or later going to cause a stir. So Khalid is hoping to delay the stir.
Alright.
Grimmy stirred the pot.
Yeah.
Does anybody got any questions they want to ask any of the others? You
I
have-
would, Thanik, and obviously I know the answer to this, but Thanik would just want to be knowing what happened with everybody. So to get just, I mean, if it's just that would just be the small talk. Would just be like, what has happened with everybody over the last year?
So you guys can feel free to give a little bit of a rundown as to what you've been doing.
Oh, so
Grummy would just pour some salt out of her pocket.
Yeah, I mean, you
No.
guys can just you guys can just tell me whether or not you'd be open to.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Have it be open.
Grummy wouldn't necessarily talk about specifics, but just basically tell you that she was told to pound salt, so she did.
Yeah. And you would all be very familiar with that type of the way she phrases it, that she got sent to prison for at least a while.
Alright.
And she wouldn't tell them that she's been paying debt down. She wouldn't tell them that.
Okay. And then anybody else want to share, or do you just want me to give the brief rundowns?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, brief
All
runouts
right.
are fine.
Well, Othig's is pretty easy. Othig went off to train with a mercenary company, has picked up some pretty substantial skills as a warrior. So he's coming back and playing a champion fighter class with some tweaks along the way. Mixing in some more relevant stuff from the Battle Master that'll make sense, just to because the champion fighter tends to be a bit on the dry side, so we'll give him a little bit of flair.
Very nice.
Adam is playing he tells you he has spent time with a small group that would be very known to Mavami, and Mavami's background would be very known to Thanik as well. Thanik has been running with the Weave Guardians, which is a branch of Eldritch Knight, but their casting focus and skill set is different. They are, instead of casters, they are more anti-casters. So their magics lend themselves more towards stopping other magics and survivability of magics and damage absorption and resistances, things like that. So, and as you saw,
What?
Weave Guardians. And then Andy is playing a Bastion, which is it's not even a subclass of cleric, really. It is a standalone class that is similar to a cleric. Spell set is similar, except their spells, they have limited spell slots, but they are very rechargeable while adventuring. A Bastion is designed to absorb magical power and pump it back out as spell power. So
Nice.
if they absorb too much, though, they pop. So, and it can get pretty devastating if he's not pumping out enough.
Like he pops or
Yes.
spells pop?
Yes.
Yes.
There is an arcane explosion that will go off centered on him, damaging him and everyone around him.
Oh, dear.
And depending on how much spell intake the Bastion takes, that depends on the pop. So at third level, if he somehow manages to roll well enough to suck up a 9th level spell, he's gonna boom. And it's gonna be painful. Yeah.
Frickin' A-bomb.
So it is a very rare gift. Let's see. Othig and Grummy would have no idea how rigorous the training would be of it, but Thanik would. You would start to talk about what you went through, and Thanik would know immediately what they put you through.
Well, people start talking about magic around Othic, and he's just like, all right. He doesn't get it. He does not get it. He's glad that it works, and he understands like some things about it, but he's just like, okay.
So that's in a nutshell what you were all trained to do as you cruise along.
And Grummy would just say that she finds people.
She finds people. So,
Sounds good.
after 2 days of travel, you hit the outside edge of Elinos. And Grummy points out to you a few things that have happened. There's not a lot different about the territory. She tells you that the town is not as friendly as it was. The rebellions of slaves have been an issue, and there is now a large military camp just south of town, a couple hours south of town, right at the forks of the crossroad. And tomorrow, if I go to work, I'll share with you the map I cooked up for it. Actually, I could still do it tonight because I can re-download it. It's a sketchier map of the area and some of the major points you've seen so far. There's a military camp, and you guys pass it, and it's busy. She tells you, but the slaves aren't the real problem with that rebellion, and it calls itself I believe the Sons of the Sphinx. Originally, it was the Order of the Sphinx, but I changed the name so that if I reference the Order, don't confuse it with Andy's Order. So it's the Sons of the Sphinx.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's one of those writer things that I was like, oh, this will be better if I do it this way.
And
so,
it was the SUNS, right? Sons of the Sphinx, or
no,
SONS?
SONS.
Gotcha.
Sons of the Sphinx. But they're not really the real problem. They're a problem, and they strike from the fingers, which are the foothills on the western side of the Maker's Palm. But the real problem now is that the dark races, which usually keep themselves in caves or in the mountains or in the wastes, have taken advantage of the situation and have begun pressing the military in a lot of other places. So Elinos basically has been under a fairly strict martial law since right before you guys left. And so the town it's not an unhappy place, but it's different. And the trade isn't as good and everything else. She also tells you, kind of with a smile, that the Red Rocks version of the Graniteback caravan just doesn't do the job. And part of that is it's like somewhat disheartening to you guys because mostly it's still run by your family members because they're all running it as slaves now. But as slaves for the Red Rocks, they're not real interested in quality. They're just kind of making sure they get through it from one day to the other. She also tells you that...
And we stamp everything with the Red Rock Company.
Yes.
To emphasize the quality.
She also tells you that the oldest members of the clan, so your parents and older siblings down a little bit, the older siblings were sold off to random people. The Red Rocks only kept the younger dwarves of the clan. And nobody knows what happened to the chiefs and the matron, Oren's wife. They're all missing. And thus far, nobody's been able to get a line on where they are.
Is that what we were tasked to find out?
Nah, not yet. That's something that Khalid is still working on, but it hasn't been as easy as he had hoped. There's been a lot of complications. Whatever they did with your parents, they hit it pretty well.
Okay.
Do we know that they're not dead, though? Like, that was...
You assume they're not dead because that would be a major crime.
Right.
And the Red Rocks probably would not want to get caught up in a major crime. So it's a safe assumption they're okay, but their conditions are probably garbage.
No, they just want to backstab everyone.
Yeah. So, you cruise around Elinos. Grummy does not take you inside the city unless somebody wants to make an argument to go there. No? Okay. And you move around the city and you head down the road to the north. It's a familiar road. You took it once on the way to the farm. It seems like forever ago that happened.
Well, not for Grummy. We went to the farm just recently, but that's a different farm. Why?
Tell your wife yes. I haven't even looked at it, but I bet you it is. Let me double check it. Yes, that's ours.
Because the song popped into my head, and then I googled it.
Yeah.
And that popped into
Tony, that tell your wife yes was to you.
What
Your
did my wife?
She just messaged me if something was mine. It is.
Oh, okay. She's at the church.
Oh, never mind then. I'll send her a
Yeah.
message.
We'll go over to church, tell her, and then come back.
I mean, whatever I gotta do.
Whatever I gotta do. Whatever.
Okay, so Andy took off. Just when things were about to get important. Darn
He
it.
does that. The dog
I-
has to pee.
I know. Dogs. It's fine.
Just like a frickin' mage to do that.
Yep.
He's not a freaking
He's
mage
not a mage
anymore.
now. He's a cleric.
He's theoretically a cleric.
You're right, he's not a mage, he's a useless mage.
He's a clerk.
He is a clerk.
He's a clerk, yeah. AKA not a useless mage.
Welcome back, useless mage.
Be nice. Be nice. All right, so you're heading down the road to the farm, and it's just starting to get dark, and you see smoke on the horizon from the farmhouse.
From the one that...
Yep, the
Centipede?
Dematopolis farm.
one.
Yep,
Yeah, the one we're familiar with, okay.
correct.
Yeah, was that the one that has the cave in it?
It does have the
Yeah.
cave in it. Yep, it is the same farm.
The Dryad Cave.
As you're getting closer, you see, what was her name? Maribel, that's it. Maribel come running out down the road, and she's screaming for help.
Oh.
I don't recognize this one.
Actually, you don't. You don't recognize this woman at all.
I'll offer to help her.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that we should help her.
She comes running up to you, and she looks at the three of you, and she's like, I know you. I know you. I know you. And she's very excited. She's like, I need your help. There's goblins. Goblins just burned down the chicken coop. Slaughtered all of the hens.
But not the rooster.
Dang it! So excited.
The
I'm
rooster's
just holding them off.
To get
The
details
This
of-
will be mine.
The rooster's out there defending the entire coop from the.
Yeah. I totally is. Totally.
She scratches her head, and she says, the rooster that rooster ran off just a little under a year ago. We haven't seen him since.
Oh, what's game on? All right, well, we should go help
My
with
arch
this.
nemesis survives.
There is gonna be a rooster boss.
You never know. Maybe rooster boss. So, you guys are headed for the farm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Post haste.
So you guys head for the farm, and let me just reshare the farm map with you all. Let's see where we at. So you run up to the farm, and it's definitely just the chicken coop that's on fire. You can see that pretty plainly from where you're at, and then you hear a loud crashing sound. What is that? What did you just share on Discord?
That's the 300 guy. That's
They
the.
come
No,
to
it's
stuff
the
the
gladiator.
rooster.
It's Gladiator, that's what that is.
No, that is Gladiator. Yeah. Sorry.
With a rooster head and
That song, though. They come to snuff the rooster.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I love my friends.
I can't handle this.
Spent the last
So-
5 minutes doing that.
Right. Absolutely. So there it is. So,
Okay.
Awesome.
you hear a huge like smashing cracking sound from the barn, and then you hear this maniacal laughter coming out of there.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Grummy is going to
Um,
hide.
There's only one entrance to the barn, right?
No, there's a couple entrances to the barn.
Is the barn
There's
door
3
open
actually.
currently?
The
Oh,
barn door
yeah,
is open.
Barn door.
Let's go in.
Oh, barn door.
Are we on the
Is
map?
that where we hear the
Such
noise?
Such a
Yeah.
cruel fate.
Barn
Barn door
door.
is open for souls.
Let's see. Let's get your group token on the map.
Whoa,
We are right there. We are the map.
Yeah.
too big.
Too big, sorry. So, you guys go running up to the barn door, and as you do, you see this creature. It's large. You've seen goblins before. This is not a goblin. She has mistaken whatever this is for something else. This is a creature. It's gangly. Its skin is dark green, bumpy. It's wearing clothes, and it has this goofy hat on, and there's all these mushrooms growing all over this creature. And it looks at you, and it starts cackling and laughing, and it jumps out of a window from the barn, and you can see it's dragging a gigantic maul behind it. The maul is easily as big as it is, and it makes a break for the orchard.
Can I shoot it?
Let's roll initiative.
Is there? Wait, there's nothing else in the barn. There's just this thing that's causing havoc.
This is the thing that came running out of the barn. You don't know if there's anything else in the barn.
I thought we went inside and saw this thing jump. out.
You were on your way to the inside.
Oh.
Yep, you did not actually get inside yet.
I mean, if we're right next to the door, I'd want to check inside first.
Okay.
I should probably roll initiative first. That's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Do you have alert?
I do.
Oh, Andy, you need a feat. You
Oh,
get
I
a
get a feat?
You get a feat reward for finishing the commoners thing. I saw that on your sheet earlier. That you didn't have one. Everybody gets like a homebrewed, figured out feat, which probably got lost in the shuffle of you using a homebrew class.
Warcaster it is.
Pretty much.
Not a bad bet. That's what you guys are looking at. Is this thing right
wow.
here?
I like it.
Where'd the map go? Oh, there it is. And I'm assuming not a feat that increases an ability score.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is only large creature size, but it's still, or medium creature size. I just wanted you to see what you were looking at.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
And then we'll get the Granitebacks on the map. We'll move the Thursday night symbol off to the side. Who's moving that back? Othig was kind of headed for the barn. Grummy was going to take a shot at it. You guys can kind of...
Grummy, you should let me try first.
Sure. So Grummy will. Oh wait, for an initiative, it's the creature's turn.
It
correct?
is the creature's turn first.
Okay, let's follow initiative.
Let me count my squares.
Is that where he is? All the way over there?
Yeah, he would have gotten out to here.
Okay.
Out the window. So he is going to turn and look at you guys and give you the finger. And then he is going to run into the trees here where he has full cover and you can no longer see him. But you can hear him laughing.
Jeez.
Um.
It's gonna take us like 3 rounds just to run out there.
So.
Is he done?
Yeah, he is done. So Grummy, you can go.
Grummy's gonna run up on top of this wagon here.
Okay.
See if she can get sight on this thing to take her shot. She heard Mavamine say, "Wait."
Wait, no, you don't have to do that anymore.
Okay. Am I able to see anything from up here, or is that still a full coverage situation?
It's actually, the coverage is worse up here.
Oh.
Your ability to see, because these trees are trimmed up kind of high, so when you're on the ground, you can see through them better. When you get up higher, you're looking through dozens of trees.
Gotcha. The way you said he disappeared into the trees, I pictured them being shorter trees.
They are shorter, and he is hidden, and it is dark, so it's a combination of camouflage, cover, darkness. It's all of that type of stuff. And if you get up high, the foliage is definitely going to block your line of sight.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna stay up there, and I'm gonna post up and tell them to check the barn, and I'm gonna keep an eye open and hold my action to shoot the first hostile creature that I see.
Okay, sounds good. Who's up next? Mav, you're up.
And you only get 5? Yeah,
Yes.
5 feet. So I'm going to go there.
Okay. And anything else?
Nope.
All right. Othig, you're up.
Okay, so I just got back and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, but I don't see anything.
You don't actually, because the creature got to go first, and it gave you all the finger and ran into the orchard. Nobody has yet checked the barn. Grummy has jumped on top of the wagon to see if she can get sight of the creature. She has not seen
Did
it.
it count that I wanted to do that before we got into initiative, or do I still have to do that?
You still have to do that. If you want to check the barn, it still needs to get checked. Or you can head for the orchard to go after this particular creature.
Is that token off to the west of for real tokens that's supposed to be there?
It's just your group token, so...
No, the west.
What is that?
Oh, that's
That should not be there.
that
Okay.
was from before.
I have no idea why that token's on the map. It's had to have been left over from last time we used the map for some reason.
That was Albert.
Yeah, I
that's
know.
That's
his
your
Kenku monk.
token from our one shot, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was the chicken. It became sentient.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So, okay, but he ran south.
Yep.
Oh man.
It doesn't
Okay,
mean
so-
that the barn is not empty.
Yep.
What's that?
It doesn't mean that the barn's not empty.
Yeah, I'll use my movement to get up to the barn and look inside, and then I might dash back if I don't find anything.
Okay.
Oh, he's got the dash. Oh.
So it'll take you all your movement to get into the barn. What you see is you don't see anything else in the barn, and this is a fairly open barn. What you do see is the main support has this huge chunk missing out of it. Like somebody smashed it rather than cut it, and it's cracked, and the barn is sagging a little bit. You don't think it's going to collapse or anything. It's a pretty well built structure, but
We built it.
yeah, you guys you repaired it. This thing probably, after seeing it, used that giant maul of its to whack this post, and was maybe trying to take the whole barn down when you showed up.
Yeah, is it in immediate danger of collapsing, or it'll be? Okay
No, you
for-
think it'd be okay.
Okay, I'm going to use my dash then to get back and kind of get with the rest of the group.
Okay.
Oh, actually, how high is that fence? How high is this?
It's only like 2-3 feet high.
Okay,
It's
so
basic. That's maybe more than that. It's a barnyard fence.
kind of all splitting up. I just kind of want to move along here so I can look down between the rows of the trees, if that makes sense, so I can see if I can spot the thing. So I'll use my dash to move in this direction.
Okay, go ahead. You put yourself where you want to go then. And then it's Thanic's turn.
I will. Put my shield on. So I have a hand axe and a shield.
Okay.
And then. That's 25 right there. Taking up my shield and stuff, was that a bonus action? Or
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Then I mean, do I see anything with where I'm at?
Make a perception check.
Jeez. Never mind. I'll just fail it. just say no, you don't. Just say no, you don't see it.
Hey, you might roll a nat 20.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't see it.
I love that you have a -1 to your perception.
Yeah.
I have a -1 to my perception.
Yeah.
I love you both so much.
Unwise
my
people.
expertise lies elsewhere.
Yes, exactly.
Is
So-
it in anything useful?
You don't see anything.
Anything you point at.
Grummy,
Yes,
you,
sir.
you are alert, so you can't be surprised. So you see this creature pop up, and you were holding an action, so you can take a shot at it. It does have half cover.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, that's bad.
Let's start it off right, boys.
That's
Yeah.
a nat 1 with a
Hey.
recovery, so nothing terrible happens. But this creature's maul comes flipping out of the trees, and it catches you square in the chest, and you're going to take 8 points of bludgeoning damage. And I need you to make a Constitution saving throw as spores from mushrooms growing on this hammer come off and just fill the air all around you.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
This is unacceptable.
I know.
Um,
First attack of the
Go
game,
get
and you're
that.
dead.
all right.
I'm alright.
Um,
Alright. Did it do damage to me?
It did. It did 8 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh!
Grummy, currently you are
Oh, I got
not paralyzed, but you are confused and disoriented by this effect.
I'm not surprised.
I
So
thought you were going to make him roll Constitution and Dex to see if he stayed on top of the wagon.
You shush! Don't you help?
so
Are those
the,
spores, are they like a poison? What would they be considered?
you don't know. You've never seen anything like that before. That maybe a poison, but they were pink and glowy. So it's like regular mushrooms, maybe. These mushrooms, probably not. So
So he
this,
just showed up like right next to Groomy.
yeah, he popped up right next to her, whipped his hammer. He runs up here now and uses his second attack to grapple her. You can make an
good.
opposed grapple check, but it is at disadvantage because you're confused.
Oh, good. Yeah. This hammer better be somewhere a long ways off.
All right, so you fail the check. He grapples you, and then he runs another 15 feet this way, giggling and laughing. He's dragging Grummy in one hand and his maul in the other.
Jeez.
Grummy, it's your turn. You need to make another Constitution saving throw.
Did I tick someone off? What's happening?
Apparently you take this guy off. Trying to
You-
look for it.
As you go to sit up, he looks at you and he says, "Shh." And the reaction of you trying to sit up and get your senses about you cause him to breathe out these pink spores on you, and you are now soundly asleep. Not just normal magical sleep. You are in a sound pollen-induced slumber. You are in slumber. Mav, it's your turn. All right, so Mav lances out a guiding bolt at this creature. He's had enough of these shenanigans already. Blasts it with some magic, and the next person to attack it will have advantage on their attack.
Guess who that is?
Huh.
I'm also gonna go here. Hey Ryan, go get him, buddy.
Sweet, thanks, dude.
Am I considered poison?
No, this is not. This is a magical effect. This is not poison.
Okay.
Othig, you're up.
Does this situation, because Groomy is soundly asleep, qualify for pincer?
No, it does not.
Okay. I thought you would say that. I just had to check.
Of course, I would have checked too.
As unfortunate as that is, I will make do. So, advantage.
Yeah, he's got the effect on him.
Great. Oh, he does. Okay.
Me?
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
I've got all kinds of effects on me.
I see that.
No, we're not worried about you.
You
Oh,
gave yourself intoxicated because it causes confusion.
yeah.
That's
Sure
beautiful.
did.
All right, so Othig runs over, wails on this creature,
That's my butt swing for
Yep.
Polar Master.
then turns around and
Very
nails
nice.
the creature with the butt swing of his spear like he learned in the claws, and cranks out 15 damage on this bad boy, pushing it into heavily wounded. Thanik.
I am going to go here. And since I have my axe out, I'm gonna smack him.
Nice.
Good hit. Good hit.
It was good hits. So you pound him pretty hard. He's bloodied. He's like dripping blood out of his mouth. He's not laughing as hard as he was before, but he's still like almost like all this thing can do is laugh. But now it sounds scared and panicked. It went from ha 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 to ha ha ha, and then it's you watch as it starts to do something with its hands. Adam, you would recognize this as casting a spell.
I'm going to attempt to interrupt that.
Can I do an Arcana check to see what level spell?
You can.
Not gonna know.
Can I do a check to see based on what I know? I mean, would I also? I'm not proficient in Arcana yet,
Mhm.
but would I also be able to do a check on this for this specific situation?
Because you're not
Part of the class.
because you're not proficient with Arcana, I'm going to say you can, but I'm going to deduct 5 from your next roll.
From the roll of the Arcana check?
No, from your follow-up roll. If you're going to make an Arcana check and then attempt a disruptive spell, you will have minus
Okay.
5 to your disruption. Because you're taking time to try and figure out what he's
To see
doing.
if I recognize it. Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it.
And then I have to oppose that. And that is going to succeed, unfortunately. You get really close to him. You almost interrupt him, and he sees what you're doing, and he backs up. He's like, no, 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 no. And he casts a spell, and a door opens up behind him, and he drags him and Grummy into it.
Huh.
Mav, you're the only one in position to see this. Make a perception check.
Oh, bye, guys.
8. From somewhere off to the north, between the buildings, you saw a flash of light right after he dragged Grummy into the door. What would you three like to do?
Very well.
Sorry,
I
can you
need to
just...
yell at them to come this way.
Okay. Yeah, definitely gonna follow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Definitely.
I don't know where we are in the.
I win, so Otha can go and then Thanik can go.
Okay.
My guess is you're out of initiative for.
Yeah, you
Yeah, I'll use
are
my-
theoretically out of initiative for now.
Okay, then I will give chase.
Where are you going with that token? I was about to take it off the map.
No.
No, you may not. Put you in the barn. All right. So you run over that way as well. Everybody can make new perception checks for me.
Awesome.
Mav, you
Okay,
can make
the
this
highest
at
for that
advantage.
Jeez.
Oh,
At
gosh.
advantage? Oh, thank goodness.
Mav can make it
No,
at
I get
advantage.
to.
Oh, okay.
It's like I'm perceptive. I'm just unconscious.
Mav, you're pretty sure you see a green glowing light coming from the cave. But at this distance, you're not sure. It's mixing up with your dark vision and the natural moonlight, but you think you might have just
Is it
seen a
dark
light
outside?
in there. It is night. It's early night.
Do I see a glow or I see it?
You did not see it. You saw
Okay.
maybe a glowing light. Honestly, in your mind, it was a light that was similar to the grave or the wisp beetles. Just a little flicker of a light, like a large firefly or something, off towards the cave.
Okay, I'm gonna go there my next round.
Okay.
I assume that you probably pointed that out.
Yes.
Okay.
You can never assume with Mavamine.
Did you guys dash? Is that what you did?
We did.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna cast Bless on us.
Sweet.
All right. So if you're all running for the cave, if that's what we're doing, we can. You don't have to worry about initiative order. We will move on to the cavern itself. So, you get to the mouth of the cavern, and you remember it before. It was a smaller cave, kind of hidden around the bend of that rock, a little obscured. There is definitely a green glow coming from inside this cavern as you get closer to it, and you do see little motes of light floating by every once in a while. Also, sprawling out of the cave are green vines that are covering the ground. Okay, Andy's going to take Zoe out real quick, so we'll give it a pause if anybody wants to get water or anything. Then we'll get back to the cave.
Grab some drink.
No, I had to take my break before when I left because the congestion was overwhelming.
Traffic.
I'm officially going on a week of being sick.
Ugh, that's terrible.
Yep. It's like, it started out so bad, I had a sore throat, like, so bad that I couldn't talk. Like, it just hurt too much to talk, so I just didn't. Then what was it? It was, like a pounding headache. Like,
Yeah.
not like a headache, but like just where your head throbs constantly.
I think they call that a headache.
Yeah, but it was like, it's not like a normal headache, though. It was like, I don't know, there's a difference. Like, the kind that you get when you're sick, it just, like, constantly throbs for, like, it was bad. It was super bad. I had achy muscles. I basically confined myself to the couch because I had no energy to do anything. There was coughing, there was sneezing, there was congestion in all combinations, and I basically sat on the couch the entire weekend because I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty miserable.
I'm sorry.
Mike.
Isn't in the room.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, actually, I did want to. Oh, I gotta ask one question after you go.
Well, mine's not really important. Mike, did you watch any of Star Trek Discovery? Mike, did you hear any of what I just said?
Not a bit of it. I didn't have my earbuds in.
You didn't have. I asked a question and I looked up as you were putting your headphones in. I was like, oh great. Did you watch any of Star Trek Discovery?
I watched the first half of the first season, and then I got busy and stopped downloading it and didn't finish watching. But I hear it continues to be pretty good.
The first half of the season is the first couple episodes were like interesting enough to keep watching, but they weren't great. They weren't like anything special. And then the next couple episodes are just like the first half of the season are just kind of all right. They're something to watch. And then they went on their mid-season break or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they came back, and it has been like the rest of the season was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely, yeah. It was crazy how good it was. Like I didn't watch it because I had heard it was just kind of eh.
I liked what I saw of it.
Yeah.
I just never got it back around to finishing it.
Yeah, no, I would definitely encourage the next to at least finish the first season, because the second season just started last week, so I haven't watched any of that. But the second half of the first season was amazing.
Yeah, I don't remember what episode I got to. It was the captain was really starting to get crazy.
Dude, the captain, he is so great.
Yeah,
He is great. I'm totally blanking on his name right now, but yeah, he's great.
Kirk.
He's
No. Good guess though. Good guess.
Helping him.
Why I just watched this today. Why can't I think of his name?
Cause you're bad at everything.
Yep. I don't know, but we're gonna move on.
That's the problem with the show, is that I can't remember anybody's name except for Michael,
You're right.
because it's such a dumb name. Michael's not a dumb name. Michael for a girl is a dumb name.
Take 5 damage.
Yeah.
The main character is a girl. Michael.
Fire damage.
Stupid.
Definitely.
And Thanik is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was the one dying tonight.
Well, yeah.
Oh well.
You never know. Aye. So, what I was saying is, you guys, there's definitely something weird going out of the mouth of this cave. It's damp inside of it. You can hear water dripping. There's vines pouring out of it. There's little green lights floating around inside of it. It is not normal.
I'll just look at Mav and ask him, like, you want me to go in first?
Yeah, no, I would like to actually assist that in just a general intelligence check in this.
Okay.
If that's possible.
Sure. Absolutely. You don't need to, though. I'm going to give you some
Okay.
decent stuff. Mav, you're pretty sure that this is the Feywild leaking over into the Prime. You didn't learn a lot about the Fey when you were away, but you were taught different kinds of magic, different places magic powers come from, and the Fey was definitely referenced in the latter.
Okay. I would note that to them. Othig will look very unimpressed about this fact.
No, that's fine. Yep, because you're right. And then I'm just gonna ask you, are they in there?
Yes, all of the Fae are in there.
No. He knows what I'm talking about. You're such a punk.
That was beautiful.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I generally didn't understand your question.
Oh, okay. I'm going in.
All right. You cross in. The ground is immediately squishy and swampy, and you feel like you are not, you're not in the same cave you went in last time. But
Sure.
this is definitely weird. Everybody else going in as well? The other two?
And I hike up my trousers a little bit.
Okay. You guys
Big
walk
boy pants.
you walk in a little bit, and it's probably Mav, because he's the most perceptive of the group, is looking around, and you aren't even 15 feet in, and the entrance to the cave is just gone. All you see is endless glowy swamp. It is weird. It is blue and pink and green, and then not too terribly far from your position, you see something. And you've noticed everything here seems more alive. The vines seem to move on their own, and they're creeping and crawling around the area, kind of like grasping at your feet, but not in an effort to hold you, more in an effort to investigate what you're doing. And green motes of light are floating on the air, and then you see it in the center. A huge seed pod, easily large enough to hold a cow. It is glowing, and it is pulsing with strange energy and leaking a weird green fluid. And I'm going to put you
I don't
three.
want to be in a seed pod. Where Grummy's in the chicken coop, isn't she?
I'm going to put you three on the map.
What map? I didn't see a map.
And then I'm going to share it with you.
Where Grummy's in a seed pod? I don't like this.
Think
No,
so.
where Grummy is the seed pod.
Ha! I get it. You guys were inside where Grummy. Wait. Oh, it's not. Never mind.
Yuck. So
You're
this
not
is
healthy, bro.
the environment that you're in. You're knee deep in swamp water, lily pads, the whole bit. algae floating on it, and there's this giant pod pulsing, and it begins to open. And spilling out of this seed pod is a corpse that tumbles out of it. And then it begins to twitch and spasm and move. And it stands up and it starts to reach out for you guys. What do you want to do? It's not moving quickly, but it is reaching out for you. Mav backs up.
Mav is going to investigate it.
Make an investigation check or perception check, whichever you guys prefer.
He's
also going to hold back the other two, not to kill it yet.
Can
So
I
don't
make
stab it?
Don't stab it yet.
Can I make
Okay.
an investigation?
Should I back up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Back up, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
All right, so Mav has a 19, and Thanak has a 7 on checking out what this thing is.
Oh, hang on. I'll get in on this.
All right, you get in on this too.
Both of mine are -1. It doesn't matter.
12's
And
not
you still did better than Thanak.
I did.
Better than me. +4.
Grummy does not get to make this check. Looking at it, it's definitely not Grummy. It is a dwarf. And Mav, you recognize this dwarf. It looks just like your dad. It looks like Orin.
I thought you were going to say it looks like Filbert, and I was like, no.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
It looks like your dad. Slime's all running down him. He, at the moment, it's reaching out to you, but it looks very confused.
I'll go reach out for him.
It grabs you.
I'm going to stay close to him. Even before you said it grabs you, I'm going to stay close to him just to keep it hold. In case something grabs him and pulls him, I
Okay.
will be able to pull back.
Yep.
All right, so this thing is moving very strangely, very erratically. It reaches out for you, and as you grab it, it grabs you back, but it's gentle, and it's feeling up your arm, and it touches your face, and it says, Mav? And you realize this isn't your dad. This is, as weird as it is, this is Filbert. But
Okay.
he's old. He's maybe older than your dad.
Nobody knows what to do.
Yeah, sorry. I'm like totally weirded out by this.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Filbert. You can be Filbert again now.
So Filbert's gonna reach out and just kind of slowly hug you, but then you realize he's not hugging you. He's taking back his quarterstaff. And he's just gonna kind of like lean on it and then just kind of like and stare off towards the exit of the cave for a second. And then he's gonna look at you. I've been asleep a really long time. And he's just gonna put like all his weight on the staff. And he's just gonna pat you on the cheek and be like, I think we have a lot to talk about. It's good that you still look so pretty.
And at that moment, a strange creature comes leaping over the pod and attempts to smack you with a large hammer, Filbert. And then
He's gonna turn around and go, Tabitha?
3 other creatures appear, and they're screaming, "Don't let him out! Don't let him out! They can't leave with him! He's
This is where the
ours!"
surprise thing happens.
What? Oh,
Is
yes.
this where the surprise thing happens?
This is absolutely where the surprise thing happens. I just didn't get to it yet. You guys kind of look between the creatures and Matt and Filbert, and then Filbert poofs. And now he's standing way back over here.
What is happening?
Is that strange creature hostile?
That strange creature is very hostile. And I need you guys to roll initiative again.
Do I get to make an opportunity attack since it entered my range?
It's only if it leaves.
No, it's if it enters.
Yes, if he's got Polearm Master,
Yeah.
it's when it enters. It's backwards from Sentinel. So yes, you do.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Sweet.
I love how his name is Moss Lurker.
It's got the 3 S's. That's awesome.
Oops.
No, leave it.
Wasn't
Leave
supposed
it.
to get clicked on. I don't know why.
Just
It's
leave it.
awesome.
It's
I
great.
already rolled initiative. I don't know why I re-rolled.
Mike, you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead and make your attack on him. And he is making his attack on Filbert, who still can get hit before he poofs. And
Can
he
you
is
fix
not.
my initiative, Mike? Put me back at the 3rd or at the 11. I don't know why I re-rolled.
Okay. So this thing comes down and it attempts to clobber Filbert with that hammer, and Filbert just yipes, and you watch him poof and disappear and show up somewhere else. It misses, and Othig turns around and stabs it a good one, and then it looks at you and goes, "I might die, but then I'll be dead." And we're at the top of the round for initiative then. So this guy, let me turn these other 3 guys on here so you see where they're at. They come clambering over and around the pod, and this one, 2, is going to make a run down here and go to leap at Thanek's head and miss. You step out of the way of the creature and it tumbles to the ground. The Moss Lurker turns around and seeing that there's only one person in range of it, attempts to swing this gigantic maul that is obviously way too big for it, and it will whiff pretty solidly as it takes a shot at Mavami. Othig, you're up.
How do you want Pincer to work? Is it just an automatic? Is it a bonus action?
Yeah, it's not automatic. Like, what is it gives advantage, right?
Yeah, it's grant attack advantage on the enemy, so that anyone who attacks it gets advantage.
Yes, the other people attacking it while they are flanking it with you get advantage. So right now, Mav would have advantage against the Moss Lurker.
Okay. Well, do I have to call the person who would get it, or is it anyone who
anyone who steps up to it? You have to call that you are performing the pincer move because they have so many uses, but then somebody can come up and take advantage of that. Multiple people can take advantage of that. If, say, Mav makes an attack and then shifts out of the way to let Thanek in, they both get advantage that round.
I still use my regular amount of actions and whatnot, though.
Correct.
Okay, got it. So, the other thing I was going to ask you before, sorry to hold this up.
No, it's okay.
Is there anything with the critical strikes stuff as well too? Do I crit on like a 19 now?
I don't know if you have that feat yet in your class.
Well, you said something about it in the story stuff with the fighting style, but I wasn't sure if that translated to anything or if that
No, that's just part of your projected class. You're headed down the champion path, so you will get that eventually.
Right. Yep. Okay. Got it. So let's see. How did I do this? I think I set it up as a tower. Yeah, that worked. Great. That'll do it for everyone though that steps up to it.
It will.
That's right though.
You should probably just,
But that's right though, right?
No, because they have to be on the opposite side of you. They have to be pinned between you two.
Oh.
So you probably should not put the effect on them and just let people know they have advantage.
So I should do the grant advantage and just place it on the person that I want.
Or just let the people who attack it know they have advantage, and then they can click the advantage button. That's the easiest way to do that.
Okay. Mav. I will make my attack.
You will hit it. You will miss it with the butt strike. But it doesn't matter because
Nice.
you stab it, and as it leans over it, like it drops its hammer, and it looks at Mav, and there's blood coming out of its mouth, and it says, "I told you I was gonna die." And then it dies. Let's see. So then Meyer Mall, number 1, is going to leap at Othig. Othig, what's your AC currently?
That was a good question. It is 16.
It is 16. This thing gets close. It looks like it's trying to grasp you around the head, but you block it off with your pole arm, your spear, as it attempts to do so. Thanik.
Can I switch to my maul?
You sure can.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. Drop the shield. Okay. For crying out loud. I thought there was a 1, which is better, but it still missed. Oh well, that's it. I'm gonna move right here.
Okay. All right, Filbert.
And that's me.
He's gonna kind of just dust himself off, and he's gonna stand up to his full 5'10" height, and he's just gonna yell, "I'm so sick of you guys taking my stuff!" And he's just gonna walk forward, and he's 10.
He's gonna use his quarterstaff.
I am. I'm gonna walk over here. Oh, I went to the wrong side. I meant to walk to this side, Madman. I'm gonna be like, check this out. I'm gonna use a bonus action to cast Shillelagh. And I'm gonna whap this Meyer Mall 2 with my stick, but I'm gonna do it like an old man,
Right,
just trying to get some kids off his lawn.
because you are an old man.
Yep. I'm gonna be like, you guys need to go take our stuff.
It was our stuff first.
Ooh, that's gonna hit him.
Yes, it is.
I think I have it set up to do wisdom already. That's good. Weapons damage die becomes a D8. And it is considered magical for overcoming doohickeys.
Sure is.
Alright. Do some damage to him. Boom! Smack him!
Nice.
So,
And I mumble something, and as I'm talking, it sounds like I've got a mouthful of rocks. That just kind of...
like Tony does, because you already do.
No, I don't know if any of you speak Primordial, but he begins to speak and mumble things, but he's just looking around like you should all still understand him.
does anybody speak Primordial by
I
chance?
do.
Okay.
All right, well, there you go.
All right, Mav, it's your turn.
That one.
Oh, that's so sad.
It succeeds.
Did succeed.
He
Nothing.
tried to ring a bell.
Oh,
failed.
no tolling the dead. All right, so Meyer Mall 3 comes running over here, and he is going to scooch around to the other side of Othig as far as he can go, and then he's going to attack Mav. He's like, "You look tasty!" And he jumps for your face. That is a nat 20.
What?
So you watch this taller, gangly-looking, gray-skinned goblinoid-type creature jump up on Mav's head and do 9 points of damage as he grabs him around the head. Mav, you're currently being suffocated by this thing, and it's gnawing on your head.
Awesome.
Mike, can I take my opportunity attack?
You already used your... No, you didn't. You had a turn in there,
Oh,
so
yeah.
yes, you can.
Oh wait, an opportunity attack for what?
Oh,
It
arm
en-
master.
Yep.
Oh, because he answered. That's right. That's right.
Polar Master. Is that limited per turn too?
It's your reaction. You use your reaction.
Oh, it
to
is
do
your reaction. Okay. It doesn't say reaction in there, but that makes sense.
I think it does.
Oh. Nope.
So you.
No, it just says while you're wielding a glaive, halberd, whatever, other creatures provoke opportunity attack when they enter your reach. It doesn't say.
But
An opportunity attack in
yes.
itself is a reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us to Meyer Mall 2, who is the one being harassed by everybody. And it looks at Filbert and screams, "I'm going to get my onions back!" And it leaps for his head. And
Oh, you won't. I fed him to the mushrooms.
19, Filbert?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay. It has grappled you around the head, and it is doing... Gosh, I did just as much damage to you with a regular roll as I did on the crit to Mav. But you take 9 points of damage as this thing grabs your head.
Ow!
And Othig, you're up.
Right.
Still
So
leaning
which
on
one?
this.
Which one looks the worst?
The one on Filbert's head.
Number 2.
Yep.
I can't reach that. What about between 1 and 3?
They have not been hurt yet.
Okay. All right. I'll stay attacking number 3 then. I'll actually use pincer again.
Okay. That's a hit. And that is a hit as well. So you stab it and then you whack it. Ooh, nice. Stab for max damage. And then you turn around and whack it. And that thing is looking bad. It's in bad shape. And that's the one that's on Mav.
Yeah.
So it does not look so good. Let's see. Meyer Mall 1 is going to scream, "Don't stab my friends!" And leap at Othig's head, and he will hit you. So he has grappled your head, and he is going to bite you in the head for 6 points of damage. And you hear him whispering as he's gnawing on your head. He's like, "He's not really my friend, but he's my partner in this caper, and we just need our onions back. And then I'm going to bite him too." And he's just rambling all this crazy stuff.
Oh,
Thanik, you are the only one that doesn't have a Meyer Mall attached to your head.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little left out here. Oh my gosh. Oh,
you can
jeez.
have mine.
You do still manage to hit this creature.
Just barely.
Nice.
Holy cow.
And you kill it.
Whoosh. I killed me a Meyer Mall.
Yep. Ryan, you hear the one in your head go, "Good, but bad at the same time."
Oh my god.
Filbert, you are currently being suffocated by a Meyer Mall.
I'm just gonna like square it up and just hit myself like dead on, just trying to smack this thing. I'm used to fighting these little turds.
You do have disadvantage.
Oh crap!
Yep.
Because he's on my head.
He is on your face.
All right.
You are he's technically given himself cover by not giving you blindness, but
Yeah. I accept. So disadvantage, you said?
yes,
Or you said cover, so minus, or
disadvantage. Because he's swirling around all over the place.
that's gonna be a natural one.
That's
I'm gonna hit myself in the
no.
face.
You do not hit yourself in the face. That was crazy because you dropped a nat 20.
Sure did.
Yep, but it scooches around. You hit it, but your quarterstaff sinks into the mossy growths that are all over these things' back. Let's see. It has been on your face for a round now. Let's see.
It's not back to his turn yet.
Oh, that's true.
So I'm going to healing word myself with my bonus action.
Okay.
So
You do mumble out some components of the audible components of the spell, but it doesn't come out like you normally know it does. It's a little garbly, but you get it out.
Yeah, so I'll just heal myself and move on to the next thing.
All right, Mav, you're up.
Mav is going to shoot an Eldritch Blast at Meyer Mall number 1.
That's a nat 20.
Nice.
Very nice. That's a lot of damage. 16 points of damage.
Roll the
A lot
extra,
of damage, Phil.
the extra D10 or whatever.
Oh, yeah. D20.
Or-
Isn't a crit get a
It
D20?
is a crit does get a d20 to see if you add more damage.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you do. You add an extra 5 points of damage to that.
Nice.
So you nail it for
Beautiful.
21 points of damage.
Dang. Dang, son.
I yell at him to get off my friend,
You
my cuz.
wreck that thing. Meyer Mall 2 is up. It has now been on your head an entire round.
Yep.
So, it is going to auto-bite you.
Yep.
For 7 points of damage.
Oh, turds.
And then
How much?
7. You guys are watching as vines start to grow off of its back and are working their way towards Filbert's ears and nose and mouth.
It's gross, yo.
Yep. Othig, you're up.
Sweet. I'm gonna swing at it.
Oh, this one's got more damage than.
Disadvantage.
It is on your face. You do have disadvantage.
Oh, that sucks. But we'll try. Hi-yo. Oh, I got a disadvantage to that too. I'm guessing.
You do. All your attacks are at
Oh,
disadvantage.
sweet.
So you do still manage to hit this sucker.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I know this doesn't actually affect
Whoa.
this, but you have a giant pole arm.
Yep. Go ahead, say it.
And you just stabbed something that's on your face.
And I butt swinged it, and it was on my face too.
At
That
the-
you're
on the
forgetting
s-
that part.
At the
That's the
same
most
time.
important part.
You
The
stabbed in
swing,
the
I could get
face.
around the swing, but the butt swing, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I did it.
They did it.
You also,
You did it well.
I did it. And not
One
only did I do it, but you saw me do it, and you were like, dude, that's legit.
Yeah. So you definitely kill this thing. You absolutely 100% obliterate that creature. It's falling off of you, and it's like, I never told you I was dying. And you watch as these creatures, when they die, they just dissolve into a puddle of mud and kind of float away. Thanik, you're up.
I'm gonna swing for the fences. Nope.
Yep.
Yeah, you are.
Oh yeah. Jeez. Wow.
You got it.
It's that bless that's saving your butts.
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Oh, lame hit. Lame hit.
So you pound it with your hammer. Phil.
I'm just gonna yell, "Time to cook me some onions!" And I'm gonna start a fire. And I'm gonna use create bonfire on the ground in front of me, and I'm just gonna put my head over it with this Meyer dude on it, so that he has to take damage. So time to cook some onions. And then yeah, he saves. However, he's in the fire. I'm cooking him.
No, he saved with an 819.
What?
His save was an 819
Oh,
versus your DC
that
of 13.
can't be right.
Um,
What the heck?
I
How
don't
did
know.
you roll that?
Okay, for some reason,
Dexterity.
1,612.
I can't beat that. What's his bonus?
801.
What did he roll?
No. Obviously that's a typo in the creatures. You know, their initiative ended up really high too, and I didn't understand why that happened. I thought I just mispasted something.
Your
Obviously,
initiative was 804.
yeah.
Did he
Obviously,
save?
he rolled an 18, so yes. I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
he 18 plus 3. He's got a 21 on.
If you have that high of an initiative, do you just take like several attacks before your foes even do anything? Like, is...
Before they're born.
So that was my action.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use my bonus action to heal myself again. Because ow!
What would he take a damage for going into bonfire?
Oh, there's damage for it. It's a 1d8 if he fails.
Oh, only if he fails?
Spell.
Okay.
Yeah. But if he ends his turn there, he has to make the save again.
Well,
So
let's
I'm just
just
going to hold him over it and rotisserie cook him.
say you bend over to stick him in it, and he scooches around to the back of your head.
Yep. But he's still in the fire. So, fire! And then I'll heal myself.
Okay.
That was a
Mav,
terrible heal.
This creature is...
Mav is gonna ring the bell again.
He's going to save
Does even
again.
better.
Yep. Sorry, buddy. All right, it is the Meyer Mall's turn. It is going to bite Filbert in the back of the head automatically.
Stop it!
'Cause he's still grappling it for 4 points of damage.
Ow!
And then Filbert, I need a Constitution saving throw as the creeping vines begin to work their way into your orifices.
Gross.
It's 18.
Gosh.
All right. You feel them in this next round. You will have advantage on this. You feel them starting to release spores into your nose and mouth and ears.
Oh, that's good. Good. Is he going to stay there?
Yes, he is staying there.
I'm going to make him make the save again then. Because he's staying in the fire.
Yep. You watch Phil not worry about it too much and just tip his head to the side. That one he will fail.
Hey-o.
You guys start to smell onions cooking.
It starts screeching and screaming and it's like, I stole those onions from you first, fair and square. And then it dies.
Once it's dead, Filbert just kind of stands up and reaches into his cloak and pulls out a whole onion and tries to and just takes a bite out of it like an apple. He's like, there really are good onions.
Wonderful.
So you guys have solved my Fey creature puzzle.
I mean, only sort of.
Only sort of. This is true. You don't know where Grummy is yet.
Don't know where Grummy is, and we do know where Phil is. Now the question is, are we just gonna trade?
You guys look over and Filbert's asleep on his staff.
You also see that Filbert still doesn't have a hand. What he has in place, it looks like a bunch of roots have grown out of his wrist, and they form a functional hand, but it's not flesh.
Kind of looks like a mushroom.
I'm going to cautiously kind of like tap at him to
Hey!
stir him awake and be like, Filbert, is that you?
It's been me the whole time.
How long have you been?
Here about, I don't know, 3 rounds? That's like 18 seconds.
Oh my god.
Adam can't even. He's sick and he just can't handle it.
I'm super tired. I'm so worn out. I slept like 2 hours last night.
Oh.
Oh, that's no good.
Filbert would have known who Groomy was, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, I think I'm just gonna explain the situation to him and be like, "Hey, we're looking."
Where's Grummy?
Like,
Where's Grummy?
where's Grummy?
I have no idea. I was just babysitting the Mephits, and then that tree over there ate me, and I've been just hanging out waiting. It kind of happens here once in a while.
Didn't we kill
I've
the thing
been
that?
like 6 times by one of those trees.
Didn't we kill the thing that drug her off?
Yes, you did. And
Yeah.
Tony, Filbert would know that moss lurker probably stuffed her under a mushroom and she's probably still sleeping. Like, she'll sleep for a week.
Oh, are we in my mushroom garden? Is that where we are?
No, you are not in your mushroom garden. You don't quite know where you are. You just know you're here.
So I would just kind of travel over towards one of the mushrooms and kind of give it a little thump on the top with my staff and just kind of start talking to it because I assume this mushroom can talk like all the other mushrooms I know.
The mushroom doesn't talk, but lots of pixies flutter out.
Tabitha? Tabitha? Tabitha!
They don't answer.
All right. Hey, Pixie's seen another little dwarf. She might be sleeping.
One of them zips over to a mushroom nearby and starts to circle it, and then it takes off into the darkness.
Thanks, come again.
And you guys head over there. And sure enough, there's Grummy like wrapped around the stump of it, snoring.
I'll wake her up.
She doesn't wake up.
You're gonna have to use a salve when they go to sleep. It's for a while.
I'm waving
Just let
at
her
Tony's
sleep it off.
wife. She just dropped off a table at my house.
I feel like we should say something about some salt mines. Maybe that'll wake her up.
Maybe you just pull
You're
the
gonna
salt out of
assault
her.
mind? What'd you say?
Going to assault her mind.
Don't do that. It's rude.
Didn't Filbert say we need a salve to wake her up?
I mean, that's what solved it last time.
That's what salved it? Is that what you just said?
Huh?
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Oh.
I think this Filbert is worse than.
No, he's better.
I mean, they
He
both
needs to
like
sleep on
mushrooms.
his staff again.
They both have staff, both like mushrooms, both a little crazy.
What do you guys want to do?
I'll pick up
Grummy?
Grummy cheese.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask Filbert for some of the salve that will wake her up.
Oh, I don't have any of that. The mushrooms make it back at the farm. I don't know where that is from here. This is a real big place. It's a whole nother plane.
I also feel like we have just taken the fact that we're hanging out with Phil in stride.
Yeah, you guys just kind of rolled right into that.
I hate them and everyone.
No, this is the Barovia effect. That's what we are so used to just things happening.
No.
And for Filbert, this is perfectly.
Yeah. It's probably fine for
Another
Matt.
day in the
He's probably
Feywild.
fine with this.
This is actually the calmest thing that's happened to him this week.
Othig just isn't sure what the heck's going on. He's
Yeah.
not sure like where the cave is, like why he's just.
Hey Mike, I have a question about the how would we feel about there being openings just around?
I'm sorry, you broke up a bunch there. How would I feel about there being
to the-
openings around to what?
To the Fae.
It would be really... This is not normal. For there being just a portal where there wasn't one before.
Right. So, but am I like, is it like, hey, that's not normal, or is it like this? I need to fix this.
It would be worthy of investigation. You don't think it would be panicked, but it is definitely worthy of investigation.
Okay.
But we would know what the Fae is. Like Krendors would know what the Fae is.
Yeah, everybody knows what the Fae is. It's the place that they write about in children's books and fairy tales. It's where bed goblins come from and steal small children. And
with
They're
malls.
actually the Meyer malls. Turns out they do take small children.
Yep. It's a lot of it would be stuff that you wouldn't have necessarily believed was real, but now all of a sudden, well, here it is.
It's true.
Yep.
So, why does she look so disheveled?
Who's she? Oh, which
Her cousin? She looks like hell.
she's your cousin too.
I said our.
Oh, I thought you said your.
Well, I mean, it is yours.
Well,
It's also mine.
Oh my gosh.
when we leave, are you coming with?
I mean, I just go wherever the Fae tells me.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Do you know what mephits are? They're rude little fellas.
Do I know what a method is?
Probably not. Maybe. Yeah, you might. It's an elemental of some kind. There's a lot of different varieties of them.
Okay.
They're lesser, very... They can be a problem in swarms, but individually not a big deal.
They pop when you squish them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Like, was that like are you supposed to squish them?
Oh yeah, they're mean. They'll jump up on you and they'll let you know they're there, but they won't let you know till they want you to know.
So the question is, what do you guys want to do from here? Aside from get derailed by Filbert's antics.
Yeah. So 2 things. I'd want to like find out. I feel like, you know, story-wise, I want to find out like how Filbert got here and some story with that, and then find out how we can help Groomy and get out of here.
So Thanek is holding where Grummy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Othig is trying to talk to Filbert as he's kind of just leaning on his staff, and he's gonna like abruptly just open his eyes like, we can't stay here, and he's just gonna start walking off.
All right.
You don't stay in one place in the Fae for too long or you become part of it. And he just starts wandering off from the direction he assumes you came from, which he doesn't know where that is, so he's just gonna go north.
You guys know you very clearly came from the southeast.
So,
Yeah, but did you verbalize that you're
Yeah.
going where?
we need to go from where you came from, and I'm just gonna walk towards the north.
Okay, we
I'm
came
gonna tell
from.
him that's the southeast.
Yeah, we came from this way.
I'm gonna make a wide arc and then just head in that direction.
Okay.
Like I wanted to go that way, but
Yep.
not
All right.
that way.
Oh my
As
gosh.
Filbert is doing this, you're watching the plants in the water. They kind of part for him. The lily pads come up underneath his feet, and he walks on top of them like they're helping him. You guys are slogging through the swamp, and he's just walking through it like it's a sidewalk.
I have no shoes on either.
Yep. He just moves forward, and as he does, the ground begins to dry, and the lights begin to fade. And after just a few moments, you guys are standing in the cave that you thought you'd be standing in when you went in there originally.
Is Filbert with us?
Filbert is with you.
Mike, I like to assume that I followed Tabitha, and she went through the gate just before we did,
Okay.
but I have no idea where she went.
Okay. You guys hear him often talking to a Tabitha, but you
I don't see it. That
there is no Tabitha.
Excellent.
I think I'll ask who's Tabitha.
Oh, she's my girlfriend! She's about yay high, and he holds up his hand. She's a pixie. She really likes shopping. Oh, hey, shopping! And I'm gonna reach into my bag, and I'm just gonna walk over to Mavamine, and I'm gonna like reach out for his bag. Does he let me? No. Then I'm just gonna reach into my bag, and I'm gonna pull out a crap load of petals and just hand them to you. I know you like to hold on to my money, and I just hand you like 400 rose petals.
Wow.
400.
There's like 460
There you go. 60.
rose petals. Oh, and I'll pull out 4 little oyster shells, and I'll hand those to you as well. Those each equal 100 rose petals. And I'll just wander off.
Thank
Phil-
you, brother.
Filbert, this moment will, like, everything that just happened was completely normal to you. That was a day in the life of Filbert Graniteback for the last few centuries. Being here in a cave that's plain and empty and cold, and this would be kind of scary. This is very
Yep.
abnormal for you.
I just start yelling about methods and how they're constantly changing things.
Please make a d6 roll for me as you're afraid.
Yeah. Where am I headed? That's a 2.
Okay, you don't go anywhere. You guys watch Filbert shimmy a little bit, and then he just moves on.
I shudder.
Steps.
I will use Druidcraft as I'm walking to just kind of fix it because I feel like it's broken.
To fix it.
And as I'm going with Druidcraft, I'm just going to kind of make some small harmless sensory effects, some changes to the cave to make it more Fey-like.
Okay. Shortly thereafter, as you guys are exiting the cave, and the effects of the actual Fae, not what Filbert's trying to reproduce, disperse, Grummy wakes up, and she freaks out immediately, starts thrashing around a little bit, then realizes that it's Thanik that's carrying her, and she composes herself pretty quickly to act tough, and asks, we'll put that in quotes, demands that you put her down.
Yeah, as soon as she like wakes up and I recognize that she's what's the word I'm looking for? Able
Conscious? Yeah.
just like is able to stand.
Yeah.
I put her down.
Okay. So she's standing there, and her eyes lock on Filbert's, and there's a moment of recognition, same kind of recognition you guys had, that it's Orin. And then she looks at him again and realizes it's not, and is really confused.
Yep. She's going to look at all of you and kind of look around at her surroundings, and not realizing that she's not still on the cart that she thought she was by. We're just outside the mouth of a cave, I assume?
Yep.
She's just going to look at all of you and give you just a very questioning look of what is going on. Filbert is asleep on his staff again.
I would just say you never know the powers of a bastion.
She nods.
Mm-hmm.
We should go. Is the house burning down? Oh, yeah, she totally believes you.
I don't think I don't know how long we've been gone. If it's been the actual amount of time, or if more time has passed than what we thought.
Isn't that a
Yeah,
thing?
I mean, is it still nighttime?
It is still nighttime. The house is
Still
not
our
burning.
nighttime.
It looks like your nighttime. Similar season.
Remind me, how does the barn look? Was it burning? It wasn't burning.
The barn
No.
had the main post broken. The chicken
Yep.
coop is what got burned down.
Does it still look like it's
No,
fresh?
there is a full chicken coop there.
Let's go look at the
Is-
pole.
Does Grummy's neck still have her tattoo?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's go check the barn.
Yeah.
The barn, it looks like it has been recently repaired and righted, that the main post was cracked not too terribly long ago. The splintering is still fairly fresh, but somebody has come in and repaired it.
Do we know, is it too far past the hour to try to talk to Mirabelle and find out how long we've been gone?
You guys would be able to tell the time of night from the positioning of the stars pretty well. It's still early night.
Okay, I guess probably knock on the front door of the house then.
Okay. She answers it. She's ecstatic to see you. She didn't know what had happened. She's thrilled. She says, "Oh, and you have an older friend." And she takes Filbert by the hand and she leads him inside and has him sit down. She's like, you shouldn't treat old people this way. You can't keep him out this late at night. I mean, where did you go? It's been 2 weeks.
Okay,
2
so if
weeks.
Othig explains this,
Right.
it's going to be really bad. So unless Mav wants to take a shot at this, I'm gonna.
Mav will take a shot at it. That we actually ended up in the Fae, and while we were there, we encountered this older gentleman who joined us on the way back.
I'm gonna
Sure.
reference her by name. I'm gonna say hi and ask her how her chicken's been. I'm actually gonna name the chicken. How's Pedro been?
She looks at you very strangely. She's like, have we met?
Yes. I
Okay,
work for you.
hold on. Because I might want to interrupt this. Based on my knowledge of history and my knowledge of all of this, would I understand this to be a very bad idea to be telling random people that we have just entered the Fae?
No, this woman worships the Fae, or her husband did, so she has a reverence for them that is uncomfortable, but there.
Filbert does
Yeah.
remember that. That's accurate. But it might not be a good idea to let people know that you've been hanging out in the Fae.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm like, let's not.
I'm covered in mushrooms.
There
There's
are
really no
several
hiding
growing
it.
off of him.
I just pick one out of my hair and eat it.
Are you
They come back.
Radagast? You're Radagast,
Yes.
aren't you?
Yes.
Kinda. Less bird poop.
Yeah.
More mushroom poop.
I'm gonna kind of push Filbert towards Othig.
Oh, I'm sitting
Then
at the
could be
table
like-
eating already.
Be like, take care of him elsewhere.
But dinner. She said dinner. I'm gonna sit down and have dinner.
Okay, well you can have dinner outside with the chickens.
But she's got a nice spread.
Doesn't matter.
It's got a nice spread.
Who
Yeah,
turns
I'll-
down hospitality?
I'll take you back to the
You
chicken
do.
that you so well.
He's not here. He ran off a year ago.
So you give the lady a little bit of an explanation, and she's just in wide-eyed shock and wonder. And she goes over to a shelf and pulls out a book, and she's like, well, I've had this a long time. I've memorized all the stories. Here, if you're going to go trolloping through the Fae, you should probably know more about where you're going. And she passes you a book called The Fae, where everything eats you politely.
Most of the stories in there are true.
Who does
Excellent.
she-
I will accept the book.
Yeah, she gives it to
Just
man?
you guys.
You gotta watch out for badgers, though. They got this whole armada. They're kind of jerks.
It's a revolution. Thank you.
I don't, Mev, I don't want to step on your toes on this. How avid a reader are you?
Average.
If you don't mind,
We're all idiots.
I'll let you read it first if you want.
I am absolutely not an idiot. Yeah, no, I could probably read it faster and.
Sure.
Okay.
I can tell you the stories that are in there. Oh,
I'm sure you could, and I would actually like to hear those as well.
he'll just start telling you a story, but it's in primordial.
All right, yeah, why wouldn't it be? What's the name of this book?
The Fae, where everything eats you politely. There's an entire chapter on dance moves.
Okay. I mean, because why wouldn't it be?
Yep. So at this point in time, Grummy would... I know Tony just made a roll because I think he's plotting something, but he doesn't get to anymore because Grummy's an NPC now.
That was what I was doing with her, was going to have her sneak off because she was done with this.
No, she's actually...
accomplished what she wanted.
She's going... No, she hasn't. She's got to get them to the compound.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, yeah,
Forgot
close.
about that.
No cigar. So Grummy lets you know that we should probably be getting back. Once the concept of 2 weeks have passed sets in, she starts to look not worried but antsy because she has missed her deadline by 14 days.
Yeah.
Oh.
So unless anybody has anything else for Mirabella, there are a bunch of chickens out there, Filbert, none that you recognize. Okay. So let's move on to the Graniteback home. Or the Iron Fist home, not Graniteback. You're Granitebacks.
Or is it a long travel? Like an...
No, it's like another hour and a
Oh,
half.
okay.
It's just down the road a ways. So after wrapping things up at the farm, Grummy leads you into the estate, down a long hallway, and then into a formal meeting room of sorts. There is a 7-sided table in this room, and 2 younger dwarves are sitting at it. You don't recognize them, but she does, and they introduce themselves to you as Dallozen and Fizgrian, Iron Fist, sons of Khalid, and they ask you to have a seat at the table.
Go sit down.
Okay. They they ask Grummy why you're late, and she says there were complications of a very strange variety, and they have a conversation about what happened. These guys seem to be pretty in the know on what's going on. They let you know that Khalid is currently in a meeting with another ally in the fight against the Red Rocks and will be joining you all shortly. In the meantime, they ask you if you have any questions.
I think where Grimmy would just like to know if this puts her square up, or if this is something where she still has, if this is the end of the debt.
Technically, yes, this is the end of the debt, but you are invited to stay at the table.
And she will.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, no, I sit down.
Yep. Do you guys have any questions for them at the moment?
Is it just the two of them so far?
Yeah.
Mav would like to know what this is about.
This is about getting back your family and putting things right with the Red Rocks.
Filbert has no idea what that's about.
Mav will nod and say, I'm okay with that.
I just want to clarify that when you say put things right with the Red Rocks, you mean at the bottom of the charnel house, right?
And they smile and they say, for the ones involved. We're not putting anybody not involved.
Correct. Yes.
In there. Because the Red Rocks are a big clan. There's thousands of them.
That's fine.
So
Mav would agree.
Wait, who are we sitting down with?
Khalid Iron Fist's sons. Dalozin and Fizzgreen. Dal and Fizz.
Mike.
Yeah.
I think I would sit down and I'd probably smile after Thanak asked what he asked, and I would say, when do we start talking and drinking?
They look at you and they smile, and when Dad gets here. Filbert, you were going to say something?
I was going to ask, do I remember the last interaction I had on the Prime material? Do I remember anything from that?
You remember what you as Tony remember of that.
Okay. So I would turn to Mavamine and start asking where I can find a Sphinx. Because no time has really passed for him out here with that, and he's going to just... He doesn't know that it's a year and plus later. He knows how long it's been for him, but Mavamine looks the same, just dressed different.
Yes.
So to him, it's like a week later, and he's just going to start asking where he can find a Sphinx.
The boys would tell you to be very careful with questions like that. And then they ask, who is that guy?
I would explain that he's an ally that we had long lost, that we had thought was long lost.
Filbert will smile. He's like, "Hi, happy to meet you." And he's going to put his hand out to shake their hand. Ambassador of the Ashen Vale, Filbert Graniteback. Happy to make your acquaintance.
They look at each other and look at him and look at each other and look at Grummy, who says, Feywild. And they're like, we don't know what that means, but we know.
If it makes you feel any better, we don't know what that means either.
And there's definitely some suspicious looks around the room, and then they tell you not to openly talk about the Sphinx.
Fair enough. Do either of them shake his hand?
Yeah.
Okay. He's totally doing that like old man car salesman handshake too, with the like he pulls him in close and just gives him a nice solid firm handshake.
Oh.
Did you give him the
Introducing
handshake
himself with his proper title.
Did you give him the handshake with the like wood hand?
No, that's the one that would cover. So my actual hand would be the handshake, and the mushroom hand would cover the other hand, and do the grasping handshake.
Yuck. Anything else you guys want to ask these guys while you wait?
You guys, this seems real important. Why is everybody all stressed out?
I would just point out to Phil that don't for the time being don't tell people you're a Graniteback.
Mm-hmm.
I would just
clown's all I've ever known. Well, that's not true, I guess.
like I know we lost him before all this happened, so I would explain like why we're here and what's happened.
I thought about that earlier, but I think as soon as you start talking, he's gonna stop listening.
And doze off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well then,
Don't let that stop you, Adam.
Okay. As you guys are discussing all this and you're trying to manage Phil and you're trying to explain what's going on with the Granitebacks, the back door to the dining room opens up and Khalid walks through. Behind him is what is most likely another dwarf by the bearing and the beard sticking out from underneath the dark cloak that this individual is wearing, but the hood is up and pulled low to cover this person's features. As they enter the room, the cloaked dwarf stops dead in their tracks and stares at you all across the table, and then starts running forward. And you see an axe come out of from underneath the cloak. He has mounted the table and running at you.
Can I act defensively on this?
wait, what?
You don't know. This guy that walked in with Khalid has started sprinting across the room, mounted the table, and looks like he's coming across at you guys.
I'm gonna flip can I flip the table? Like he's on the
I may yell at him to stop.
I would like to grapple him to get him to stop.
No, don't. No aggression.
Well, then I'm not aggressive. He's coming at us.
Mine wasn't aggressive either. I was just gonna flip the table so that he runs into the table.
Do I
That
poof?
was so close to a 16.
Give me a d6 roll.
Oh, that's me. Gotcha. Poof.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
one.
As he's coming across the table, like, things are going on. Mav yells out, stop. Thanik is taking a defensive stance. Othic goes to flip the table, hears Mav yell, stop, and goes, and you're like, stop flipping the table, or are you yelling at the guy? And there's this disconnect. You guys haven't been together for a while. And the man with the axe hand hugs Mav. And then says, where's Filbert? And you guys look, and it's Orin. And it's not an axe that he's wielding. He has had the family axe embedded into his stump.
Yes!
Filbert, you show up on the other side of the room looking at the wall.
Yep. Seems about right. So anybody who's been paying attention to Filbert, the falling asleep at his staff thing is kind of a ruse. He's remarkably alert. Even when he's fake fallen asleep, he's spent too much time with Mephits, and he's learned that if he makes them think he's sleeping, they can't sneak up on him. However, if he gets startled, he poofs.
He's playing opossum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, Filbert, you're
yeah.
staring at the wall, and you hear your dad's voice asking where you're at.
I'm just going to keep staring at the wall and try and hide the fact that I don't know what to do, which for Filbert, this is the first time in 200 years he hasn't known what to do.
I don't know if Filbert ever knows what he's doing. He thinks he's in Blair Witch right now.
Right,
I think
but he's done some pretty awesome things, just none of them were on purpose. And at the moment, he has no idea what to do.
Othic's
He's
just gonna
gonna stare at
motion.
the wall.
So you motion over there?
I would just kind of sadly motion, because I don't know like what's going on with Filbert right now. I'm like, it's really great to see him, but I feel like I'm not quite sure like what's going on with him, because it's all very weird to Othic. So I'm gonna like sadly motion to like I'm gonna motion to Orin that is Filbert.
Filbert's also holding his breath. Because smoke methods.
So, Orin, he hugs Mav again, and then he walks past you two, and he kind of gives you that shoulder tap, hug, squeeze thing as he walks past you guys and goes over to Filbert, and he looks at him. And Filbert, do you look back at him?
Yeah, he'll do that slow over-the-shoulder turn, and then lock eyes with him and just kind of give a big cheeky smile like he knows he did something wrong. Like that smile he gives Dad every time he knew he did something and Dad was going to yell at him, and he just like, he's ready for it, and he's like holding his breath and just ready to be yelled at.
Okay. Well, he grabs you and hugs you and tells you you are one good-looking man.
Thanks, Dad. I'm older than you. Don't you call me Dad now?
No, that's not how that
I
works.
don't think that's how that works.
Not how that works, son. And I think
Try, though.
that's where we'll stop for the night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh my gosh. How the heck do we do this?
So there it is. The return of Filbert Graniteback.
Jeez.
Druid of
Phil's
the
back.
Feywild.
Druid of the Feywild. Fey-touched dwarf.
Dude of the Cray Cray Wild.
Yeah, for real.
I have some stories for y'all.
I'm sure you do.
No doubt.
Yeah. So,
He's done some stuff.
all right. Let me turn off the recording.